Let's do this thing.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Hola.
Looks like things are good to go.
Okay.
All right. Let everyone jump in here and get things rolling.
Getting questions from here or from Discord?
We never have Discord up.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. As people trickle through in here, we'll get things rolling.
Yes.
So far, getting people in here.
All right.
Some things out. Cool. All right, guys. So for those of you that are already here, this is going to be our RWBY Volume 5 discussion live stream.
Yes. Along with Theories, Volume 6.
Yeah. This volume. I mean, we'll wait for a few more people to get in here. But I think this volume as a whole was kind of one of the better volumes we've had from RWBY as a whole.
It was definitely one that they'd been building up to for a while, so they were able to cut loose a bit. Certainly, especially at the end.
Sound off in chat, guys, if you are able to, if everything's working okay. We're not getting anyone commenting in chat, so I'm wondering if something might be up. Okay, here comes the people. Here we go. But yeah, we'll go into more of the details and stuff once everyone's in here. Shout out to a lot of our other fans and friends in the RWBY community. This has been a really fun half year of RWBY as a show.
Yeah, and they are already started Jibby. They're just taking us right from one volume to the other. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting all of the we're getting the full experience without any wait. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna make sure everything's good because I'm not getting anyone in chat right now. Let me enable chat here.
No, Caleb. We don't do enabler.
No, I know we don't do that, but I'm just making sure that there's nothing keeping people from actually being able to chat. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I goofed up, and for some reason, chat was disabled. I goofed sometimes. Okay, cool. And for the beginning, I'll turn off slow mode until it's really necessary. So everyone go crazy. How's everyone doing? How's your thoughts on Volume 5? Oh, hi Shimada, Dads, Nightcore Gamer, Torchwick, hey, Dan, hey. I'm going to put you in as a moderator, Dan, so you can help us out with stuff. You did a great job helping things out with murder stuff. Hey, there we go. Chat lives. Oh my gosh, here's everybody. We got Torchwick, Phil Wilson, Red Salamander,
Pyro Phoenix.
People coming in from France. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Weiss is the dab queen.
Yes, that was actually something I was going to bring up. What are all your guys' favorite moments from Volume 5, and why is at least one of the top 3 Weiss dabbing?
Yes, absolutely. All right, cool. I think we've got now a steady flow going in here, so I'm going to put slow mode back on. That way it doesn't get too crazy. Hey, Darcy, how's it going? Hey, Brandon. Good to see ya. Yes, chat lives, and we don't have to worry about silly issues anymore. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, gist of it, guys. Oh my gosh. So, we had. Don't get ahead of us, Anime is Art. we're on to this. Okay.
Now, so the start for this volume, I get the feeling it was very much a thing of like, okay, what are they going to do here? Because Volume 4 was leading up to this. It was completely like a build-up, transition arc.
Yep.
Yep. And we got this.
Yeah.
And it had some awesome stuff going down.
Right. But they had to transition everything from Volume 4.
Right.
And they're transitioning from a transition volume.
Yeah.
Which, now, let me know if you guys think this kind of was the feel you got when the beginning of the volume started to go the way it was. This felt a lot like Volume 2, don't you think? Like,
yeah.
It had that bit where they took specific bits from the previous parts of the show that worked, built up the villains a little bit in the beginning, kind of set the stage, showed us where everyone was within like 2 episodes. We had kind of the agency for the story moving along. And
they also relied a lot more on dialogue in this volume.
A lot
more
on
like
dialogue.
What they did in Volume 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the action left for the end.
Exactly. Lots of focus on character interaction.
Yes.
And a lot of things that would be kind of considered like mini plots, mini plots along the way.
Sure.
As though I will say Volume 5 is way more ambitious of a story than all the other ones probably combined.
I feel like Volume 5, they were basically like, okay, we're transitioning out of Volume 4's like separate stories and all that stuff, and they still had a bit of that, but they used it a lot more to their advantage. Like the whole bit with Adam and Sienna Khan, or Weiss's trip, flying around and Blake and Menagerie and all that stuff. It felt way more engaging and just like stuff is happening.
Right.
Rather than like waiting for like, okay, what like not much is going to happen now because it's going to be happening later.
Right. So they kept the mini stories along the way towards the primary story engaging. And yet we could tell that they were building up towards the obvious of the battle for Haven.
Exactly.
But there seemed to be this very definite list that the RWBY or Miles and Carrie were kind of checking off of like cool things they wanted to do.
Like Weiss dabbing.
All hail the Dab Queen.
That's
Everyone just praise Dab Queen in chat. I know that we did a poll recently for everyone's favorite character, but I think Jacob and I have come around to Weiss barely edging out Yang a little bit.
I don't know. It's tough.
It's really tough, though.
Okay, because here's the thing. In Volume 5 specifically, Volume 4 they were all separate, but in Volume 5, Weiss and Yang, I feel like they were both, all their best moments were together. With the exception of like Weiss's dabbing or Yang talking to Raven. It was like their moments together were amazing.
Yeah. In a nutshell, Volume 5, what it did well was anytime multiple characters were on the same screen talking to each other. And when I say talking to each other, I more of mean interacting because, oh my god, the fight. We'll get to that.
Yes.
But guys, first off, any questions you guys have about Volume 5 as a whole and our thoughts, we're going to do something different and do those questions now before we kind of do an overview
of just like
highlight
our favorite parts,
of our favorite parts. Yeah, praise our Lord, Pilot Boy.
Yep.
That's good given their limited pair of screen time in the past. Thank you. Well said, Dan. The time that we spent with them in the past was either a small localized bit of time in Volume 3 or Volume 2, and even then that was extremely limited as well.
And what little bits we got of just them, really, in Volume 1, it was all about like, okay, where's Blake? And that's not exactly a great way for them to connect. So,
in this case, their interaction accelerated the development and depth of their characters individually. Okay, so let's get into some of these questions here. Can we please talk more about Weiss dabbing? We will talk plenty about that for sure.
I am convinced that Rooster Teeth, the RWBY, knew exactly how genius it was to have Weiss dab in that moment because I mean the memeage.
They had to give Hammer Time some meme fuel.
Exactly.
Shout out to Hammer Time and his awesome meme channel. It's great for crack videos and stuff. Volume 6 theory. RWBY gets character development. I actually want to say RWBY got character development this volume, and we will go into that a little bit.
That was one of the benefits of them focusing on dialogue and character interaction so much.
Nightcore Gamer asking, do you like the fights, or did you like the fights? I would say
by
that they were...
fights, do you mean Cinder versus Raven? Because Like,
there actually weren't as many fights.
There weren't.
That was something we were kind of glad about. They realized that yes, they need to take some time to go back to getting back to form with the animation with regards to choreography and such.
And okay, I'm not sure whether it's just because like Cinder and Raven were pulling blades out of the air and stuff, but this gave me a real like Unlimited Blade Works vibe of like, okay, let's save our budget. Let's save our budget for like this awesome fight that we're just going to blow everything on. And it's going to be fantastic, and then there can be, more talking time.
There was some sun gunchucks in there, but
there was.
The fights I would say overall were good. There were a couple ones in particular where you could see that the time spent on those fights wasn't as much as the others. So there's going to be a thing I think moving forward in RWBY where we'll get like 3 tiers of fights. We'll get the trash mob fights where we'll just show Team RWBY being awesome.
Yang versus the
gang is a pretty great example of that.
Right.
We'll have big power displays where it won't be as highly choreographed, but it'll be cool things like Weiss's summon taking out the Lancer, the Queen Lancer. And that's stuff that's visually spectacular, but the choreography is, it's just good. It's nothing spectacular. Right. But then they're going to have other moments where it's gunchucks or Raven versus Cinder, where the choreography is going to go really high, and they're going to dump tons of effort into the visuals there.
I would almost break it down into the categories of new song versus no new song.
Yes, if a new song is introduced, that's going to be an epic fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, did you guys notice that the relic looks like the Mistral symbol?
I didn't.
I don't think. I think you're right, but it wasn't as close as you'd think. I'd say.
Where is Best Girl Neo?
Volume 6. She's in Volume
Hopefully.
6. I just got here. Did we talk about Penny 2.0? That's going to be probably a theory that we'll come up with for Volume 6.
Right, since they're going to Atlas. Yeah.
Yep. Which character do you feel has the most and least development over this past volume? Well, unfortunately, I would say that Ren and Nora basically grinded to a halt in terms of development.
Well, yes, but
because of what happened in Volume 4.
Because of what happened in Volume 4, but I would say that doesn't really count because they are still side characters. They are not a part of Team RWBY.
Yes.
And even John,
yes.
That, he's a more main side character than Ren and Nora, maybe?
Yes, he is.
But he's still a side character.
Right, for sure. We're still going through the comments, guys. Which character do you feel has the most development? I think we're kind of split on Weiss and Yang right now.
Yeah.
But it's one of those two.
Yeah. I mean, Blake had some amazing moments, too.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. The fights, they were really good. I thought the side fights, like everyone versus Hazel, were pushed to the side and seemed not choreographed at all.
Well, I'm actually... I kind of liked the fact that the Hazel fight wasn't very... high choreographed,
right?
Because one, it allowed for more awesomeness with the Cinder versus Raven fight, but also the idea is that Hazel is an unstoppable beast. He does not need grace and poise and finesse in order to beat people. He just
people's
smashes.
high advanced choreography just being ineffective because he is that big of a brute, and he just wins when it comes to close combat fighting. Do you want a new character in Volume 6 or maybe a new team?
Well, I do not want a new character, really. Not I feel like Volume 5 was where we got our new character, because Ilya wasn't really a new character in Volume 4.
She was very much a tertiary,
she's just
minor
there,
character.
for a little bit of conflict. But this is where it really came to the forefront.
Yep.
And they...
And she was a fantastic new character as far as depth goes.
And the thing is, I was initially opposed to the idea of them focusing a bunch on Ilya because she's so new. And there are so many other characters that I would rather gotten character development for.
Absolutely.
But they really hit it out of the park. So I hope they don't try and do that again because...
they're going to.
So
here's the thing.
Atlas.
If we're going to think about predictability, there will be new characters and there will be probably a new group of people that won't necessarily form a 4-person team, but it could be cool to see Team Funky again or something like that.
Or Team Coffee.
All right. Neo's still drifting.
Best voice acting, Ilya. I mean...
Yeah, Ilya's voice acting this volume was god tier. It was really good. How'd you want to appear? Mary Poppins, y'all. Neo, if Neo shows up, I don't really care how she shows up. I just want it to be a surprise.
Yes.
Do you think Raven was involved in Summer's death? Oh, we'll go into that later.
I believe so.
Have you guys heard of us getting a new confirmed villain for Volume 6? Yeah, I've heard about it. It's through the RWBY Combat Ready game that it's going to be kind of segued into. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yep. New Semblance. We did get a new Semblance this volume in Jean. That wasn't one of the big highlight moments because Jacob and I guessed that it was going to be some kind of aura kind of manipulation
and
type thing.
Yeah, and once Weiss got wounded, that was kind of what it had to be.
Exactly. But we'll go into that in a second. Any other questions about the immediate volume? Favorite episode? That's tough because actually when you go into this volume, what makes it really good is that the episodes themselves blend together.
Exactly.
I think one of the best episodes individually was probably episode 2 because it really set the agency for the story moving forward with Adam and Raven's actions involving Sienna Khan and then Weiss getting captured.
That's true. Episode 2 was a great one. I mean, this might be a cop-out, but I'd say just like Episode 13.
Episode 13 was pretty good too.
Yeah.
But the build-up to this one has some really cool parts, and we're going to go over a little bit of the things in particular that were kind of our highlight bits with how they introduce, in my opinion, another character that is basically a new character as far as actual depth goes.
Oh.
And let me...
favorite song for the volume? I don't know, but it'd probably, for me at least, it'd be the one that they play when Yang and Blake and everyone gets reunited. That one was amazing.
Spoiler alert. Why are you showing this one? This is not the one I want you to show right now. Crap.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Technical difficulties. Okay, so while I'm sorting that out,
anyone else rooting
Jacob,
for
answer
Salem?
Some questions.
Oh, I think a lot of us are rooting for Salem. Actually, that is yes. You hit the nail on the head. Okay. Yeah. Ty's. Wait. I don't know if it was a callback to that particular meme, but all that interaction between Raven and Ty in the future is going to be fantastic. Multiple team battle like in Volume 3, that would be fantastic. But what real team do we have to have? The good guy team go up against? And there is not going to be another tournament arc for quite a while, I think. Emerald and Mercury being redeemed. Emerald, yes, possibly. Mercury.
Well, here's the thing that gets a little confusing. We heard that Gray confirmed Cinder's death in the RWBY Rewind.
What?
So yeah. I'm not buying it still, but they have killed characters off screen. But the problem is they brought that character that they killed, right back.
Exactly.
Immediately in the next volume.
Yeah.
So I don't really 100% buy the Cinder is dead thing.
And I hope that she's not dead, especially now, because otherwise it's a death where you don't have as much gravity behind it because it was unclear at the beginning. So you're like, of course she's still alive, right? Unless the head is on a spike in a glass, case on your bedside, they're still alive.
RWBY doesn't really follow those rules 100% though.
Right.
Because Neo was essentially killed off as a character with regards to the story. They kind of wrote her out. Mm-hmm. But, not confirmed, Dan said. He sidestepped answering it clearly. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're going with the Cinder is alive side of things.
Yep. Migri said she was looking forward to where her character was going. So...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ha! Well, that's telling.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, Raven was more hinted at in Volume 4 than actually introduced. This was her real introduction as a character. Now we know who she is and what she's like, so it'll be great to see all that.
Sorry, guys. For some reason, the slideshow isn't really working. I can get it sorted out in a second. But in particular, the highlights of this volume, I think, go particularly around individual characters that were kind of weaved into the story quite effectively. And the main one I wanted to bring up was how they weaved Ozpin into the story.
Oh,
in
yeah,
using
they did a
him
really
as
good job with that.
as a means to bring everything with our protagonist towards a kind of clearly set direction. You know?
Sure.
So with Oscar, he is Ozpin and he is Oscar. As far as kind of keeping things kind of moving in a specific direction rather than having a little bit of kind of aimless kind of waiting before we get into the battle for Haven, the creators of the show are basically like, okay, what are the things we need to make sure that everyone's perfectly clear on? What are the things we need to express with Oscar being also Ozpin?
Right.
So they actually showed for the first time how the transition between Ozpin kind of assuming direct control versus Oscar being in control kind of works. Right. And when they did that...
That was the first time we'd seen it, for one.
Well, yeah, I already said that. But not only that, it really showed a little bit of a dark side to Ozpin. One of the things that people have been theorizing since the beginning of the show was because Ozpin and Salem have this kind of back and forth conversation right at the beginning of Volume 1, there's been this thought that Ozpin is playing chess with someone else. No, he's playing chess against Salem.
Yeah,
but the pieces are the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he essentially literally takes over a person's body, a young, innocent kid, and controls him for the purpose of doing good, it starts to cast a little bit of doubt on the guy.
Right, and granted, it's something that was a curse. That was great that they brought that up.
Yep.
But still, it's it's one of those areas where it's like,
good. They've got into some morally gray areas with their defender of the world,
Right, because that would be called by some people possession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The RWBY Volume 5 finale is #1 trending on YouTube?
What?
No way. That's okay. That can't be right.
We have to see
We have to see this. Are you sure it's not specifically in your country? Oh my gosh, it is #1 trending.
Is. Oh, that is fantastic.
Gosh. Guys, this is huge. Holy crap.
Wow. That
RWBY, guys.
Is awesome.
#1 trending. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, RWBY. RWBY Volume 5 finale.
Yep.
This is crazy. I mean, I guess YouTube likes new web series. I have no idea how they choose what for their trending type of things. But that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Oscar, Ozpin.
Yeah, that was great that the way they handled it. Like I could see people maybe getting a little bit frustrated because he was getting a lot of screen time, right? Him and Ilya. But with the kind of character that Oscar is, you can't just bring him into the group of all these other people, these people who don't actually know him, because while he is Ozpin, he is also Oscar.
Yep.
And you need to get to know both. Otherwise, it would feel kind of stale moving forward.
Right.
Because since they've established that Ozpin is doing a form of possession, basically, in order to have us really care about the person that he is possessing, we need to not just get to know the character, but we need to have the character get to know the main cast and vice versa. That way they can really care about him and not just be like, cool, Ozpin's back in this, meat suit.
Right, and they focus specifically on having RWBY spend time with Oscar. And I am not a fan of any of kind of the shipping stuff that goes on in general, but you do you, that's cool. Specifically the part where RWBY and Oscar have their conversation, and Oscar is just like, how do you do it? How do you stay... Basically, how do you have a semblance of sanity in this whole madness and stuff? And RWBY's kind of monologue, I would say, because it's not really a conversation. Oscar kind of shuts up and listens for this bit.
Yeah.
It really shows how far RWBY has come as a character, and that feedback isn't necessarily development, but what it is the sign of depth. It is the sign of basically the character's outer limits expanding.
Well, and it's also this is what made me really excited about that conversation. is that it's basically telling the audience what the theme is moving forward for RWBY as a character. Anytime you get into those sorts of things in a story, and you're telling the audience, hey, not only this is kind of what's coming next, but for the near future, this is the direction we're taking it, this is the plan we have, then when you get those moments later on, it's like, okay, yes, they're making good on that promise they made, 2 seasons ago or whatever.
Yep.
Which really elevated that conversation for me above just any other conversation where two strangers get to know each other.
RWBY will be a great bright spark, leading Oscar to believe he can make a difference. Same for Blake with Ilya, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I noticed that they did kind of it's a very classical piece of storytelling technique in TV shows where you have cast of characters set in different locations, is you'll do parallel arcs, where when Blake and Ilya are going through one thing, the RWBY and Juniper team are going through a similar thing in the other location, but there's a different take on it because the characters are different.
Exactly.
And that specific kind of dynamic they had with RWBY basically being the light for Oscar showed that he wasn't fully okay with everything that's going on. He didn't choose this. And I think that's the point that he brings up, is that Ozpin didn't really give him a choice, and he's in this just because he has to be.
Right.
But because of Salem's actions, she's not letting them have a choice. And RWBY kind of acknowledges that it's kind of her destiny, or she's kind of fated to be involved in this. But how she reacts to all this crazy stuff is 100% her choice.
Right. And and she addresses that it's her choice, and it's also at the same time the thing of, well, what else can we do? With all the stuff that's happened, with all the people they've lost, there's, you can't allow yourself to not keep moving forward at that point.
Right. And,
And one other thing, so this is the thing that was actually kind of cool. If you looked at most of the character interactions this volume, pretty much all of them went around that theme of moving forward.
Yep.
Not just in the positive sense, because Lionheart was another example of the whole idea of the, trying to bring someone back and make them change and redemption and all that stuff. But at the end, he chose his path. And,
Yeah, he got skewered.
Yep, he got tentacled.
He got shish kebabbed.
Yep.
I would say rest in peace, but
Yeah, I think there might be a few pieces.
More like pieces.
Yeah.
Or like holes, But Jacob, I mean, come on, it's right here in beautiful resolution in front of us.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Who is the MVP this volume, Jacob? It's
Weiss.
It's the dab queen, guys.
Like okay.
Oh my gosh.
And this is one of those things where it's like it's not logical to like something so much, because if you think about what it does as far as story and character and all that stuff, very little. But oh wow. When I remember when I saw that for the first time, it was like those little things of like Oscar saying, "No, my cane is not the relic,"
Yeah.
Except better, because I didn't even realize I wanted this until I saw it.
Right.
And when I saw it, I was just like, that is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen.
It's one of the things where, in this volume in particular, the RWBY really, really broke the fourth wall with little nods to the fandom a lot.
Yes.
And I mean, not a small amount, an extremely high amount.
SOS doesn't mean Semblance of Sanity. It means supporters of Schnee.
No, I mean, come on. Weiss, as an arc of a character, has come, in my opinion, the longest way from Volume 1 to Volume 5.
And judging by that pose, she knows it.
Oh, yeah. But not only that, every time she was on screen this volume, she was either being supportive of her team in a really, emotionally strong and compassionate way, or she was just spitting fire back at Raven and
or Bernal
or whoever really there was. And in particular, just Weiss this volume, it seems like they decided, we're going to we're going to give Weiss an upgrade and take her from just being cool to going to some uber levels of badass.
Weiss cold?
Yeah. She was through her path of isolation.
Yep, exactly.
And, she was on her way towards the group. And that's the thing I wanted to talk about this volume as a whole. When they sat down, the RWBY, and wrote their list of things of, these are the things we want to have that are awesome, is they wanted to have an incremental build-up towards the Team RWBY reunion.
Right.
And every single chance they could, they hit us with the music.
Yep.
They hit us with the heavy conversations. They hit us with the tea time.
Oh, yeah.
And the Ice Queen jokes.
Yep.
They hit us with so much good stuff, and I wanted to talk about a few of those, but yeah, go ahead.
And one of the things that I would say is very important to bring up about that is that they didn't do it all at once. And originally, I wanted it to kind of be all at once because I wanted it to happen quickly, right? That way we could see them all moving forward together, right? But instead what they decided to do is they decided to spread it out. And by doing that, they were basically able to make it so that every combination of new RWBY team member, as they were brought in, got to have a one-on-one with the other people, right?
Yeah.
Or
except for Blake.
At most, a one-on-two, where it's Blake coming back and meeting Weiss and RWBY, or Weiss and Yang coming back and meeting RWBY.
Right.
But other than that, it was all one-on-one stuff, which was really good. It made the scenes way more intimate, way just...
Yeah, there's a set of them in particular. The main one that comes to mind is when Weiss and Yang meet up in Raven's camp, and they had just gone through your mom kidnapped me? You kidnapped her? And then after that whole thing's resolved, Yang's about to talk, and mid-sentence, Weiss just jumps into her arms and gives her the biggest hug, and they start playing Home.
I know.
They started to play Home, guys. Oh, man.
Yep.
When you play Home, after we've had Volume 4's ending, which had RWBY's letter, Home has such a special meaning to us as fans because RWBY as a show kind of is home for a lot of people. Yeah. It gives that sense of warmth, that sense of family, that sense of just loved ones that you can kind of get familiar with and spend some precious time with. Yeah. But Weiss hasn't shown that kind of agency in the connection before. Generally, she was the one getting kind of pulled into kind of things like that.
Sure, because Weiss is kind of the tsundere.
Exactly. Yeah. But in this case, nope, immediately jumps into Yang's arms and just kind of shows...
Yang needed that.
Yeah, Yang needed that in particular, and Weiss didn't know how much she needed it, because then my next thing I wanted to talk about was another Weiss and Yang just incredible moment, was their conversation where Weiss talks a lot about her family, and Yang talks about Blake not having been there, and about what it was like to be alone when Raven left. And just Yang's experience of having people leave her. This was something that I'd say is on par or even above a lot of the depth we got for the characters when they had the campfire scene in Volume 2.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad it was a one-on-one scene, but I almost wish Blake and RWBY were there so they could kind of get some of the wafting of that amazing character kind of depth and development.
Because here's the thing. With Blake leaving, right, that was very much set up to be a very emotional thing, not just for Yang, but for all of Team RWBY. And it was, right? But 100%. With something like that, you need to make sure that you kind of remind, and not tell, but show the audience the emotions that are felt by the people involved, right? And this was a great way to basically bring that up, because it had been addressed in at the end of Volume 3 and throughout Volume 4, but it had been pretty light. And this is where they really got into the nitty-gritty of it, the meat of the matter. And that, without that conversation, I don't think the RWBY Union would have been nearly as impactful as it was. No. At least certainly not the Blake and Yang.
Right. I really feel like because Blake was in such a unique story position, it would be difficult for her to be brought in the same manner as the others. And I really like how they kind of reconnected her with the team as well. But specifically this build-up, like you were saying, with Weiss and Yang here, did so much more than really any other of the reunions, except for the one where RWBY, and oh my gosh, shout out to Lindsay Jones. Shout out to Lindsay Jones for the voice acting when she sees Yang again for the first time. And this is a big difference, guys. A lot of people can get somewhat involved too much in the shipping side of things to where they miss the really powerful bond that Yang and RWBY have together because they were sisters and they basically only had each other for that time when Taiyang shut down and their moms were gone. And in that, they developed a really strong connection. So when RWBY sees Yang again, she's actually scared because she doesn't know how to emotionally respond to it, and she just starts rambling. And the scene is fantastic. And she's like, "I didn't know if you wanted me to stay." And she's like on the verge of crying, and then Yang just same thing. Does what Weiss essentially did to her,
which is great, kind of showing her that Weiss like helped Yang get to this point.
Yep, exactly, and hugs and just says, "I love you," and it's like, "I love you too."
And that is great because it's coming full circle from the when they left, because if anything, like the biggest stuff that they could have added to make the separation of Team RWBY like just feel more is added more emotion to the characters when they split, right? And they didn't like because say Yang was unconscious, right? You know, things like that. There were certain things that they didn't have as far as like the Blake and Yang reunion or the Blake and Weiss reunion, right? Yeah. But with Blake and RWBY, Yang and RWBY, they have that scene when RWBY goes to Yang's room, and that was one of those scenes where like if you hadn't already cried because of Penny dying or Pyrrha dying or Yang losing her arm or whatever, that just did me in.
Right. If you realize that the last time that we see them on screen speak was that bedroom conversation that moment in the Haven kind of room that they're staying in, it makes it so much more emotional because RWBY might not have just the sense of intuition to see based on Yang's body language that Yang has kind of come back into herself. Yang is totally different. Yang is completely changed forever.
But she has her sister back.
But she has her sister back, exactly. Yeah. And RWBY doesn't want to kickstart any of those negative feelings and such.
Right. Because she initiated the conversation at the end of Volume 3, and that didn't go very well.
Yeah. So then, when they're having this sister moment, everyone is like, whoa, hands off. Like, let this happen. Yep. Weiss is there. She's dirty from having the travels and everything. She's, like, sitting there just like, this is so sweet, but I'm going to let them have that moment. And then, not, like, 3 seconds after that, they're like, Weiss, like, come on.
Get over here.
And now, guys, there are cute moments in RWBY. There are adorable moments in RWBY Chibi. But there are moments when you must protect the smile. Yep. You must treasure the smile. Weiss's smile when Yang and RWBY invite her to hug with them is the most precious. Just let me see if I can recreate. It's just like this.
No, don't.
Like this. Like it looks so bad. But you guys, we have never seen Weiss this happy. This is happier than when she got to reunite with Yang and stuff.
Or Winter, like. Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
They are sisters.
And this is RWBY intentionally tugging at our heartstrings. But one of the things that they great A impression. Thanks, Dan. They did not sacrifice the story in any way to get this heartstring tug, which I feel like there were moments like that in previous volumes where they decided to kind of jerk the story around a little bit for a cliffhanger or an emotionally intense moment. But this one felt well earned. And I want you guys to think about this a little bit. Because of Volume 4, we actually value this reunion far more because of the time spent apart.
Right.
It's you never know what you have until it's gone.
Exactly. And the fact that, like, you know, Volume 4 was not one of the best volumes, the fact that it happened, like, imagine if Volume 4 just didn't exist, right?
Right.
And maybe we got the same character development that we got in there, but as far as like time spent, right, it was just gone. And we went from Volume 3 to Volume 5, and then at the end they reunited.
Right.
It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
It would not be the same.
It would not be the same. And skipping ahead to when Blake gets brought back into the fold of the team, and they're in the little kind of courtyard, kind of opened area of Nora's like hammer smash hole where she sent Hazel flying out,
which was fantastic,
after she needed him to go down. Yeah, Blake walks in. First person she looks at is Yang, and they're doing the exact same thing that they did with RWBY and Yang, where the last time they interacted, Yang was out. Yang was knocked out from her arm getting cut off.
Right.
So Blake doesn't know if Yang blames her for it at all.
Yep.
Yang doesn't know still like 100% why Blake left. So they intentionally, and this is something I really feel like needs to be said here. We had a RWBY reunion, but one of the biggest things going into Volume 6 will be the reconciliation of the decisions that these characters made that emotionally impacted the others, you know, in the previous volumes. And Volume 6, I think, is going to go into that. We're not going to go straight into all plot stuff and no emotional character interaction. I think they're going to try and figure out specifically for Team RWBY what it's like to be a team again. Yeah. And it's going to be awkward. It's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be the same as it was in Volumes 1 and 2.
Exactly. They probably won't have food fights, you know.
No, food fight days are done.
And it's sad to say, but
it's sad to say, but Ozpin's little line of, you know, it's times like these that we need to treasure. Times like these are ones that we'll remember forever. And we can't really, you know, truly appreciate the earlier stuff, you know, until we keep getting, you know, more and more of this future stuff. But we'll go into Volume 6 stuff eventually.
So
should we talk about a funny thing next, or should we go into?
You know what? Yeah, let's.
We should go into the douchebag of the volume that got kind of his a little bit of his comeuppance.
He did,
but he was also one of the more oddly handled things of the volume. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was a little bit of a mixed bag. Okay, guys, we're talking about it. Mr. Cow Noises himself, Adam Taurus.
So he had a great moment with killing Sienna Khan. That was fantastic, and it's like, hey, good job. You did it all by yourself.
You earned your title of douchebag through actual things on screen against people that really should have had more screen time as a character.
Yeah.
Yang and his moment with Blake and Yang, it was a shock thing. But it was so much shock that there wasn't a feeling of build up to it. In this, we have someone who's now we know how unhinged Adam is.
That's actually a great point, because if you remember back to when Volume 3 first came out, we hadn't seen Adam except for at the very end of Volume 2. And then in Blake's trailer, right?
Well, no, we had seen him in the flashback with Cinder and such, but it was so minor. Some people actually thought that he was being coerced into this whole thing, and he wasn't doing it willingly, which was completely thrown to the side once we saw him just excitedly
or at least
torture
if he was
Blake.
If he was coerced at the beginning, he's like, I might as well enjoy it.
That didn't last long.
But the thing is, we didn't really know what his personality was like and what it would be like when he met the other characters.
Exactly.
How he interacts with Cinder and these random people he doesn't know, that's not a good indicator.
It's not.
And the fact, remember when he's like, hello, my darling.
You felt like drip on your shoulder.
Shower.
It's like a bird took a dump on your shoulder, and you're like, oh God, get it off.
Just get it off. So the fact that the whole conflict with him and Blake and Yang was resolved so quickly, of their him doing his I want to have my evil monologue, and then Yang jumps forward and it's just over. Right. That's it. It was great because it builds. It takes down Yang's semblance. It's like, okay, you can't just use that plot armor and get through everything, right? But then it sets up Adam as like, oh, he's an actual threat.
Right.
And there's this sense of mystery about him, which is great because he'd been doing all this talking, which made you just, get him out of here. But then it's like, oh, he actually just decided to not say anything here for his one awesome moment. It's like, that's great.
Yep.
And with the whole thing of him killing Sienna Khan, that was our first time to really see him do his thing.
Right. In that scene, they really solidified Adam as a character because he was a little bit nebulous up until this point, except for his negative fixation on Blake.
Right, because we hadn't seen anything from his perspective before.
Right, so when he starts monologuing about the superiority of the Faunus, and he's trying to essentially seduce Sienna Khan to his side in some way.
Or just put on a good show for the people,
Yes, but they were already on his side, so he was not putting on a show for anyone. In a way, Adam as a character
was putting on a show for himself.
He was putting on a show for himself.
Because he's that egotistical.
Yep.
He just likes the sound of his own voice.
Yep.
And I mean, we already kind of knew that with his monologuing at Blake.
Yep.
But like, this is where he can just take it to a whole new level, and it's great. Because it's like, it's creating this little happy fun time land in Adam's own little messed up head where he can stay for a little bit. That way, when he gets his comeuppance later in the volume, right? And granted, it's not complete yet. There's still much more comeuppance to be had on his part.
Right. We clearly had that set up. Right. Unfortunately, we lost an amazing character in Sienna Khan.
Yeah, because like
specifically so that it made sense for when he would go down at the end of the volume.
Exactly.
And when he had his little moment with Hazel, of him going, Hazel going, and no one needed to die today. And then Adam sat back in the throne, and he kind of sat on it diagonally. Kind of Joffrey-like.
Yeah.
I almost want to ask Kruby or Miles and them, like, what was your inspiration for that pose on the throne? Because I'll bet you money it was Joffrey.
Probably.
And then he has his sword like sitting off to the side. It's almost like he's like waving his dick around like, yeah, I'm a big deal. And he's like, I disagree. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Compensating with your long Nodachi sword. Okay, cool, buddy.
Gone.
Once they basically removed him from the story, I was excited because that meant when they brought him back in, he was going down hard. But they did something different. They did something a little bit weird. With the way they did it in Volume 13. Can we talk about that?
Volume 13?
Sorry, Episode 13. Chapter 13.
Yes, whatever. Okay. Yeah, that I would say is another example. And, RWBY does this sometimes, and that's okay. They did it in Volume 3 and a little bit more than we would like, but they made it work. And that is, they'll do something and then kind of like backpedal a little bit.
A little bit.
Like just a little bit. It's kind of like when Ilya and the other White Fang members ambush Blake.
Yep.
And they like knock her down. She doesn't have her weapon. They pin her to the ground, and then they suddenly like get off of her randomly. It's like, why don't you just keep her pinned there? Like,
right. So this one, we were a little bit worried with how easily Adam was essentially bodied by Blake.
I loved it. It was anticlimactic, which is so fitting for his character because he doesn't deserve a flashy end. He doesn't deserve the time, because a flashy end is, if he were to have an end, that is exactly what he'd want. And he's just a punk.
Yeah, and when he essentially got punked by Blake, it felt good.
Oh, yeah.
But looking back on how they kind of structured this in response to how Adam has been presented in previous volumes didn't make a lot of sense. But when they basically doubled back a little bit and then showed that, no, they haven't got him fully restrained in episode 14, they did a very good thing with having him essentially being told, we don't care about you, Adam. I'm not here for you anymore.
Yeah,
I could just hear the crowds of Blake fans just going, oh, no, she didn't.
There needs to be a meme somewhere out there of her saying that, and then just the person jumping back into his friends.
I think Hammer Time has probably already done that.
Yeah,
and is just like about to release that video for sure.
But the thing is, I really liked the way they set up Adam's initial comeuppance, even though they kind of backpedaled a little bit, because it's the sort of reverse of what happened with Yang when she went and attacked him, and just one move and it was over, right?
Yep.
You played exactly into my hand.
Right.
Except in this case, it was better because Yang didn't know what Adam could do, and it was just Blake being like, "No, get out of here!" Right? But in this, Adam knows exactly what she can do.
Right.
And the fact that he was so just gone up here that he actually ran at her when he knows that she can create copies and that that's exactly what she would do. And he knows that his best move is best used as a defensive reactionary type thing. That just made it so much more satisfying because it's not enough to have Adam bested in a fight. You need to have him bested mentally to where he's humiliated. He knows he's lost, that he is nothing.
Yep. And I gotta say that I totally called the mental deconstruction rather than the physical deconstruction. Cause
hey, just because the physical deconstruction hasn't happened.
I was talking about order here, Jason.
Yeah.
We're going to have him humiliated long before he gets skewered into...
Like basting a turkey. Yeah.
And turned over the campfire.
And this is after...
Sly can
This is
eat
after
him,
you skin it, you know?
Yeah.
Then you stuff it.
Right.
With a sword.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. We can have the Geistgrim just kind of possess him, just corrupt him into nothing. And then John can overload him with aura, and then he'll just burn into nothing.
Better. The Geistgrim possesses him, is like, ugh, and then
leaves. I don't want this. Thing's full of hypocrisy and. Someone, if you have the artistic talent, or even you don't have the artistic talent, you just have the desire, draw the Geistgrim possessing Adam, and then just being like, oh, that's a bad taste, I don't like that, and then leave. All right, we're going to go into the questions really quick. So let us know if you have any questions in particular about Volume 5 thus far. We'll read your comments. Blake's deconstruction of Adam works to show how much Blake is tormenting Adam as much as he could torment Blake. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's basically the same kind of thing with her.
Yeah, it's what goes around comes around. Yep. And Blake mentions that in that it's now his turn to feel what it's like to run. Talk about how the animators are probably having trouble with Adam's fighting style. His fighting style was very unique in the Black trailer. He had the style of not wanting to draw his sword as much, which led a lot of us to believe that the energy that he would get from his attacks would be stored back into the sheath.
Which they kind of did in Volume 3.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But they haven't done that since then. So maybe he wasn't able to activate his semblance during that time. Sure. It's also one of the things that's very unclear about Adam's character is what's the correlation between the dust properties of his weapon and the semblance of Adam himself.
Yeah, exactly. Because just Blake firing bullets at his blade was enough to charge it up. So it's like, okay, there's no energy properties there, I don't think.
I thought Adam being bodied by Blake made no sense in Volume 3. He took down both Blake and Yang. Here he just gets sidestepped. Adam should have known what Blake can do. It was stupid.
It's either one of those things where it's stupid, or the fact that it's stupid makes it better because it says that Adam's actually stupid.
Well, no, it's not that Adam is stupid.
In that moment,
it's that moment he actually made a mistake. And one of the things that I think this whole situation basically set up was that Adam was compromised essentially in terms of not only his tactics and his strategy had failed.
And petty.
Yes, he decided to rush forward without actually thinking. Yeah. And I think that's a little bit, it's got some problems, but it's not as bad as I would think upon Adam can't focus his mind on anything else but Blake. That'll be his undoing if he feels he's untouchable while Blake is in his control. Well, I think he now knows that Blake isn't in his control, and that's why he left.
Right.
But that's a good point. Let's see, what other questions?
Adam's power is actually directly proportional to how broken Blake is at that point. If she feels defeated, then he's actually really strong. But if not...
how do you feel about the retconning of how aura works and how it can be used to heal minor wounds? It could always be used to heal minor wounds. Yeah. That was always a thing.
Yeah, if anything, it just seemed like aura was breaking a lot more often and quickly in this volume.
Recently.
Yeah.
Phil Wilson, do you like how they handled Leo's death? I've seen some say it's just more tell, not show, but I disagree.
No, I think the fact that they made him die and the details surrounding it, story-wise, I wasn't as much of a fan of, but the way they decided to have him die, I loved that. The fact that they panned away, and all that stuff, it made it feel more gruesome.
Right. one of the things that Salem doesn't really have prior to the finale of Volume 5 is that feeling of real fear. Like, we don't really fear Salem at this point. She hasn't done anything that is making her worthy of being truly terrifying. If anything, she is a representative, or her attaché, her villainous group of evil, her council of evil
League of Evil.
Evil League of Evil, yes, are all representatives of her. So as they look awesome or look scary, she will look more awesome and more scary.
And so far, this volume...
Yes.
Other than, I would say, Hazel. Most of her minions...
have gotten pretty much destroyed.
Yeah.
Or they're Watts, and he cleverly was not around during this whole thing, because he realized this was not going to be a winning.
They can't defeat you if you don't fight them.
The only way to win is not to play.
Yeah.
But I would say that Leo's death is an example in line also with what Emerald did at the end of the finale to show how scary Salem truly is.
Oh, sure.
Did you notice the wind picking up and dying down during Raven's breakdown? It shows you just how volatile the maiden powers are.
Oh,
I did not notice that.
That's a cool little detail.
That is a very cool detail.
For that on rewatch.
One of the things that I noticed in particular was because the portal, and I'm now basically calling it a portal because for some reason I thought that
what else
was,
would it be?
Well, no, because for some reason I thought it was vacuo that the relics were in at one point. Now I'm basically kind of throwing that whole idea out.
Right.
Is that the relics are in some kind of extra dimension or something like that.
Wibbly wobbly.
Timey-wimey stuff.
Exactly.
But the portal itself was bringing in wind from there. So that's maybe what I assumed it was. But if it is Raven,
it could be Raven.
I think it makes sense that at specific moments where she got more emotional, where she's like, "Who do you think you are standing there?"
Yep.
The wind would pick up a lot, and that would make it a little bit more powerful.
Villain training arc. That would be fantastic.
A villain training arc, I feel like, is only necessary for a couple characters.
Right. It doesn't necessarily need to be a training arc per se, but just a villain development arc because of the things that have changed.
Yeah.
Of this volume.
I want to see Uncle Hazel teaching
Yes.
his nephew and niece,
Exactly.
newly adopted, of course, Emerald and Mercury, the ways of the world a little bit.
Things.
Because I think what's going to happen is Cinder is going to be alive. But there's going to be
think
time.
She's dead for a while.
They will probably think she's dead for a decent amount of time. The question is, at what point will she come back to Salem, and what will happen when that does?
Right.
We'll go into theories and stuff later, but I think that Emerald and Mercury learning to basically have their own choices outside of Cinder's influence is potentially big for their character.
Yes, because the last time we saw them actually do things of their own initiative was at the beginning of Volume 2, I think. When they were introduced.
And they decided that they wanted to kill...
kill the rat. I think he was more of a puma.
And cat, actually. What, like a puma?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so this will be great to see because they've been kind of following in Cinder's shadow up till now. And then, of course, the whole Uncle Hazel thing.
Oh, for sure.
Really cool.
All right, let's go through some more of the questions here. Watts read the script for Volume 5. He tried to warn Cinder, but she didn't want to listen. Watts has hacked Rooster Teeth.
Yes.
Confirmed. The Black Queen virus has spread. Stay woke.
Yeah, the two open chairs at Salem's table. Like, that could be Mercury and Emerald, or it could just be flavor stuff.
No, I think that those chairs were not there put as flavor. One of the things that they haven't shown is anyone in vacuo. And I think that what they can do is Salem realizes that things didn't go well at Haven, so she recalls a lot of her forces. And much like Volume 4, we won't have another sit-down group, but we will have a thing where Salem talks with some of her, I would say, less, less talkative members.
Okay.
I don't want to see
Whitley
another
secretly
Watts
at one of the chairs.
Nah. I don't want to see another Watts or Tyrion.
Right.
And I don't want to see a straight up Hazel deep voice and everything like that. Yeah. I want to see someone that's like not like Neo-Mute, but like someone that's like Darth Maul, where they say like 3 words.
And that's kind of what Hazel was.
But Hazel has become more than that.
Yes, he has become more than that. The thing that I would be worried about if/when they fill those seats is that since they haven't done anything to basically confirm the fact that yes, other people have those seats, even if they didn't show them, just said like, oh yeah, the other two, they're not here right now or something like that, it will feel like they're basically deciding to add additional characters and additional characters, right? And then the question is, why didn't they just like, let us know that they existed beforehand?
I think that it's silly to imagine that Salem doesn't have almost an endless horde of minions. This isn't like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood perfectly, where we're going to know that there has to be 7 of them.
Right.
It's going to be more of the thing of, oh, we haven't been introduced to Pride yet. We haven't been introduced to Sloth yet. They don't need to show them yet. I think this is going to be that example where they'll have one character at least introduced, also based on the fact that they told us that it's going to be like that for RWBY Combat Ready. But it doesn't have to be someone directly tied to Salem immediately. It could be that those 2 open seats are looking to be filled. And there will be a new character maybe involved with the Schnees, or maybe involved with some of the dirtier things that Ironwood is doing. Yeah. Maybe, the things that are going on in the Science Bureau area of Atlas. Yep. Because Penny was not a agreed upon national Geneva Convention approved weapon.
And she probably wasn't the only one.
Nope, probably not. She is probably the only truly successful one merged with an aura/soul.
Right, but now that she's gone, they're probably making more.
Yes, and that's where things could get interesting.
Now, so back to the volume though. Like before we get too crazy into like theories and stuff like that. Can I just? We've said this a lot, but can I just say again, Ilya's voice actress was amazing. Yeah. Like amazing. Yeah. Because if you think about what they wanted to do with her character, right? They wanted to set up a character who needed redemption, right? And in order for us to care about her redemption, we have to first care about her. Yep. And since we hadn't really seen anything from her up till this point, she could be mistaken as just a person that's there to help develop Blake, right? Another person from her backstory. And that's kind of what I assumed she would be at the beginning.
Yeah, but just an agency to add more depth to Blake.
Time she was on screen. Yep. She killed it. Yep. She killed it. I was there. I cared about moments in her progression that I would not have otherwise cared about because she did such a good job. The fact that they not only wanted her to be a redemption character, but they also wanted her to be
the conflicted
the conflicted person, and also they wanted her to be their first sort of official LGBT character. I was a little bit like, wait, are you going to have the first character that you do for that be like a random, an essentially random character that you introduce at some point that doesn't really have any history or like foundation in the show?
Right, that seems like a little bit of a cop-out.
Exactly.
No.
But they
gave her a fantastic character. Like, yes, Ethan, exactly. Jeremy Leah.
Yes.
Jeremy Leah? Jeremy Lee.
Okay,
Lay. Yeah, okay. Fantastic voice actress. I think she plays a couple other like main female characters in other anime. Like, hold on, is it a girl from Fairy Tail?
Yes.
And then I think she actually plays Asuna in Sword Art Online.
I think so.
In the dub.
I'm not sure.
Dub, of course. But hey, let us know. Oh, Makoto from Persona 5. Okay. She's a pretty pretty character. I'm not really aware of a lot of the Persona stuff. Oh, Lucy in Fairy Tail, Makoto in Persona 5,
A2 Nier Automata,
Asuna and SAO. Okay, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. This is an example of what happens when Rooster Teeth starts getting our our money for premium voice actors and actresses.
Having Crow be Vic Mignogna was
is a great example of that.
It's amazing,
But she is the next Vic Mignogna of the the volume,
and
essentially.
And the fact that they're not just doing it for like the main characters.
Yes.
Like okay, having Sabat as Watts, right? That's fantastic, right? But then a lot of the other ones were like more for like characters that seem to just be there and then be gone. Like J. Michael Tatum as Weiss's butler. Like
Klein.
Like, yeah. Oh, I love that. But he's there and he's gone. This is like, okay, here's a character, and they're here to stay.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things that's really impactful about this volume is they don't drop the White Fang kind of subplot within the main story.
Oh, yeah.
It's now evolving.
Right.
It's actually going to change dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that Jacob and I have always predicted at the end of RWBY as a whole is there's going to be all these factions that join up together after all the adventures of these characters are done, and each member of Team RWBY is basically going to be
Rial with Sienna Khan? Oh, and she's going to be in Genlock. Cool.
Oh, that's legit.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah, no worries. Really brings weight to specific characters like Ilya, who will probably have a large hand in the reformation of the White Fang.
Yep.
Because as far as a storytelling component within RWBY, the White Fang are probably one of the most complex side of things. That's also probably one of the most difficult to really write effectively.
Yeah. Because,
and her character being kind of the perfect microcosm of the White Fang conflict for Faunus, who struggle with the difference of wanting, the being juxtaposed between wanting to make a difference and having, their ethics, their morals, their beliefs, and how much are you willing to sacrifice to get results,
right?
And where she kind of fits right into the middle of being someone that fell from grace, but still, because of her connection to Blake was able to pull her out of that. And it's just really, really powerful.
And this is maybe a better way of saying it. It's not that she's one of the first big voice actors that they brought onto the show other than Vic Mignogna, because there have been a lot.
Well, yeah.
And it's not just that they were there for a little bit and then they're gone, but they don't tend to have very emotional lines.
Yes.
Whereas Ilya's lines, they were always emotionally charged. And with say Sabat as Watts, right?
Yep.
Not that he doesn't do a great job, he does a great job, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they have this awesome voice actor. Or Yuri Lowenthal as Mercury, and it's like, I kind of wish they had stuck them on a character that will have just more forefront, gripping lines.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And Ilya was just.
Yeah, there's the line almost in the very beginning of the volume where leave Menagerie before it's too late, and then Blake's like, "You're going to have to make me," and she pauses. She's like, "I know."
Yep.
And that. I know is almost at
you.
It's like at Star Wars. That's exactly what I was thinking of. It's like at the Star Wars level. I know.
Yep.
I mean, it's not at the level actually.
She was Alicia Hughes in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Well,
yes, and Oscar
that's
is
awesome.
Of course. Yeah, Aaron Dismuke.
Yeah. But the voice acting. Of Cherami Leigh just needs to be specially noticed because
it was so
when she not only had that moment, but she had her moments later when they were actually fighting in the Belladonna state. Before that, when she confesses her feelings for Blake, the voice acting was incredible.
Normally, I would expect to be able to say as to show how good of a voice actor someone is or an actor or whatever. Basically, say take this part. Look at how amazing that was.
Yeah.
With Ilya, and Cherami Leigh's job as Ilya, I cannot pick one. I cannot.
Yeah.
The lines
There's
even
so
all blur together. It's just all awesome.
Right.
And I can't remember the last time that happened.
Yeah.
Not just in RWBY, but
I think someone actually mentioned one in particular that was their favorite. Stop taking, pot shots and fight me like you mean it.
Yes. Yep.
I love that too. That was so many fantastic. Great ones. It's one of those things where RWBY introduces characters now at a kind of a sporadic rate, but when they introduce characters, they introduce them well. I can't wait to add them into things like our card game thing that we're making, other things like that, and just being like, ooh, I love to play with the characters and stuff. It's going to be fantastic.
Yep.
But specifically, if we go into the voice acting in general, voice acting took a huge upgrade across multiple areas, and what it was assisted by the writing. The writing aided
the writing
voice
was so
actors
on point.
specifically in the dialogue moments of high emotion, and also even kind of the low emotion, like parts where they were like, "How dare you talk about our leader that way?" And Barb as Yang's just like, "Make me," and you have this like, "Oh crap!"
Like there, so many times. Like I mean, like one of the things I noticed when we were watching the show is that I would be able to, like you and me both were able to predict a lot of the lines that were being said.
Right.
And that goes to show that basically the writing was so good that they were setting up lines so that we knew the line was coming. We knew they're like, they have to say that because that would be so awesome if they said that.
Right.
And then they say it and it's like, that's right, because they
knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Also, we had to do Oscar Dismuke as well. Oscar Dismuke having what?
Oscar Dismuke.
Did I say Oscar Dismuke?
Yeah.
Aaron Dismuke. I'm sorry. Having his voice acting be utilized in such a way to where there's some effects added in there, but he is acting with his voice to have a blend of Ozpin's voice and his voice. There's the editing part in there that you can tell, but a lot of that is all Aaron, and that's really impressive.
That's one of those things where I wish I could know exactly how they did it and how much of it was Aaron versus Ozpin's voice actor.
Well, when I visit Rooster Teeth, I'll find out and ask them about that.
Awesome.
One of my questions.
Now, of course, with the fights that have been happening in Volume 5, the fights that happened, they made sure to fill the hole in our heart.
From Volume 1.
From Volume 1.
Guys, we got gunchucks this volume!
We got gunchucks!
Oh my gosh! It was so perfect! Now, can anyone else let's just lift our hands and praise, because...
Praise the sun?
Praise the animation team. Because something tells me that they spent more time on that, like, sequence of Sun going full gunchucks than any other, like... They're like 20 seconds
we have to make sure
in the entire volume.
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh.
That was so awesome.
My gosh. Now, I don't know. Yes, everyone's lifting hands. Yeah, praise the gunchucks. Now, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Kim Newman, the animator, that did that part, and you can thank Kim Newman. Yes, Kim Newman did a fantastic job. And here's the thing, Jacob, you don't know this yet, but they basically said, Kim, this is what's gonna happen. Go crazy. You can do whatever you need to do.
Whatever you need to do.
Go crazy.
Okay.
And she did the whole thing.
It's awesome.
Beautiful.
That is awesome. Because I mean,
praise. Yeah. Yes, I get your joke now. Praise the sun.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's so cheesy, but I love it. When he goes into his moves, and you see like actually that Ilya is holding her own just enough, you start to see also that he is not messing around.
He's been waiting for this.
He is going hard here. And there's a part where he does a little bit of kind of a bicycle kick kind of over the air. And that was the moment that brought like the biggest smile to my face, because it felt like the gunchucks had weight to them and he was using them to carry the momentum of his attacks.
Which is very reminiscent of the earlier volumes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this is something that I think RWBY has gotten some valid critiques on, is that unfortunately, since Monty has passed, a lot of the physicality of the choreograph fights and stuff, choreography, it just wasn't hitting as hard. There were parts in particular, like maybe Crow versus Tyrion, where it was done pretty well, but that was more of a Crow versus Winter style fight rather than a Yang versus Mercury style fight.
Right.
There's a very clear difference.
Yep.
The power of the kicks that Mercury delivered in that Volume 3 episode,
and the fact that
fight,
you can track each one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I've actually been wondering is if fights like Adam or Mercury or maybe why Neo hasn't come back yet is because they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to do that same level of awesomeness with the character in
practically.
Their fights. Practically.
Yes.
Right. So that when they come back and they have their awesome moments, it feels just as awesome as it was when we saw it in Volume 2 and 3.
Right. And this is something that they did a couple times. Guys, notice there are a few times where they did this kind of tracking shot, and it was done in a very cool way. There was one where they did it with Sun and Ilya, where they basically panned the camera around, essentially around the head as they did things in slow motion. They did one with Blake and Ilya, where Blake caught her own weapon in midair and spun it around to do an attack.
They also did
one with Raven and Cinder.
Which was
amazing. Okay, let's talk about that fight.
Yeah, so
because we can talk a little bit about the story stuff surrounding it. But since we're on the topic of fights...
Well, because we could talk about that for a long time, but the twist that Raven...
No. Let's go right into the fight. Go right into the fight, because I want to talk about the whole Raven story stuff in and of itself.
Okay, sure.
Like, when the music started...
anytime you get a new song in RWBY, you know that this is an awesome moment, whether it's a quieter song like Home, or whether it's this gem that we got for this fight. I can't wait to get the full version of it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Like,
so good, and they blended a little bit of the Winter Crow-Tyrian style with the Maiden style of the fight.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the choreographed kind of style of fight.
They totally did.
To where this is a fight style that we've never seen in RWBY before.
We've never seen people like create weapons as like an actual like real tactic. We've seen Cinder do it a couple times.
We've never seen verticality since the Players in Pieces bit.
No, but here's the thing. This is something we didn't even see in Players in Pieces. In Players in Pieces, they had verticality, but they were interacting with objects.
Mm-hmm.
They were not interacting with each other.
Yes, that is true.
The fact that they did that in this fight is insane.
Yep.
And they didn't just have it be interacting by shooting fire or lightning blasts at each other, which they could have done. And they did incorporate that into it.
They did.
But they also they took the more difficult approach, and they're like, we're going to actually have them still fight with weapons, even though they're kind of beyond weapons at this point.
Right, but it shows that not only are they beyond weapons and they're not, they actually have a little bit of an even match with each other. It's something that I thought was a little bit worrisome for Raven. I thought Raven was going to just curb stomp her, but there's multiple moments where it came close to where Raven could have lost. But it was, not until they came back down and the oars were broken and Vernal distracted Raven that Cinder went down. And I think this is something that needs to be pointed out. We really love the fight, but the reason why the fight is important is because of the potential consequences of what comes after this fight.
And also what the build up to it.
Yes.
Like that like if you think back to like the Ozpin versus Cinder fight at the end of Volume 3, right? Yeah. That was, as far as visuals go, it was both very impressive and very not impressive because as far as the choreography goes, it was almost non-existent. Like they didn't really interact much. Even when Ozpin actually struck her, it was either elbowing her or right? But it was amazing because the music was awesome and they made it very quick and they were actually doing the energy blasts and things like that we hadn't really seen before.
Which is something we haven't seen in RWBY, so it felt kind of like we were rewarded
because this is like the battle of the gods, right? So the fact that they decided to do something different here while still it was great because they had the proper build up to make it be one of those fights where if they wanted to they could have done the energy blasts and stuff but they decided to do something different because they'd already done that even though they totally could have.
Yep. Oh man, guys, let us know in the comments what was your favorite thing about the fight, and what are some things that you think like we should pay special attention to, or some questions that you have about specifically the Raven and Cinder fight. I'm going to go into the comments real quick. Oh, bye Maxwell. It's good to have you here. Yes, this is the end song. Or no, it's All Things Must Die. That's right. All Things Must Die. It's tickled my music strings like Sacrifice did for Icarus Thorn. Yeah. Same. I'm a fan of Sacrifice from the story perspective. It's not my favorite song for the music, but it is pretty big for the story stuff that's implied there. It's the most atmospheric fight RWBY's had in a long, long time, arguably ever.
Yeah.
It really did feel like we were watching something out of this world and something immersive. I really enjoyed the Spring Maiden versus Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury.
That was a really good one, yeah. One of the other great points that someone made is that they did incorporate the maiden powers into their fighting style. So the idea is that the fact that someone's just a maiden, that does not mean that they fight in this specific way.
Right.
And that, because if they did, that would kind of take away the uniqueness that RWBY has, right? Everyone has different weapons, everyone fights in different ways. The fact that the maiden power doesn't replace that, but just boosts it, it's fantastic.
For sure. Icarus Thor, I'm just glad you guys referenced Kung Fu Panda. Haha. Yes! So the whole falling rocks while people are jumping up the rocks, fighting and stuff, is something that we really enjoyed in the Tai Lung escape sequence in Kung Fu Panda 1. I'm a huge Kung Fu Panda fan.
Oh, yeah. Those
movies are just
the first and second
diamonds
one
in the rough with regards to... first and second ones in particular. Maybe.
Yeah.
That huge ice sword Raven made. Yeah. Joe's cold as ice. My favorite part was when they grabbed each other's weapon. Yes,
that was great. That reminded me of
that was
Cowboy
fantastic.
Bebop stuff right there.
Oh yes, yes. Oh my gosh,
that was awesome.
Oh yeah, Raven and Cinder. Hold on, missing the comments. They're going really fast now. All of a sudden. Raven and Cinder are used to swords and have been fighting with them for a long time, so it makes sense that they don't mainly use the maiden powers. That is a good point.
But Cinder did use maiden powers against Pyrrha.
Cinder also did use her bow during her fight with Pyrrha, just for the little bit at the end. But I did like a little bit how in the fight against Pyrrha, she was just kind of cast fireball. Right. And it seems a little bit basic. But having that be a thing that she fell back to like every once in a while during the fight felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I love how the song during Oz vs. Cinder had a TikTok beat in it. Oh yeah, that's true. It did. Hold on, let's go through some more. Watch Raven's blade closely, and you'll see that the blade changes.
Right.
Well, that's because she's switching it out with the dust blades from her sheath.
Another thing that made me think of Unlimited
It's another
Blade
Unlimited Blade Works reference.
Yeah.
Raven is so much more experienced when using her powers and prowess, while Cinder gets more frustrated and unstable. I think
Cinder is hot-headed.
I don't think so that experience necessarily equates to more power. It was that...
But they did show that in their fighting style, which was cool.
Right. It was that Cinder had the grim arm that kind of got Raven by surprise and almost single-handedly won her the fight. Yeah. Favorite moments of the fight were the slow-mo moments because it just builds up the tension for when it speeds up again.
Yeah, they don't really do slow-mo moments very often. The ones that come to mind is stuff like gunchucks.
Yeah.
So...
Or they were like literally using the slow-mo guy's sound effect for like when Sun like runs past Team RWBY. Quick, we have to observe him.
Oh yeah.
This season really took advantage of them using the environment into the fight. It did definitely.
That was fantastic. Not just in the Raven versus Cinder fight, but also at the Blake's mansion.
Yeah, definitely.
Built on a mansion.
The slow close-up tracking shot of Raven is just effing ace. Yep.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Cinder forsaking her bow and arrow? Yeah,
Don't try to bring a bow into a sword fight.
I feel like because they were in a sword fight, it wasn't proper for her to use it. Because, you miss once and then you kind of in trouble.
Right.
The only thing I didn't love about the fight is that after the second watch, the hit between the ice sword and the cold sword midair didn't have much of an impact. It showed the effect.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it didn't have as much impact as it did to some other people as it did for me. The sword that they kept summoning, getting bigger and bigger, it is just kind of a cool reference without it really being something that
it's
felt
because
epic.
It was really just a measuring contest between Raven and Cinder.
Right.
When Jean tried to kill Cinder, it used slow motion too.
Yep. The first half of the fight between Cinder and Raven felt a lot better than the second half. That is a good point, but that is because the fight itself is actually like kind of focused on kind of the things as they're dashing along the ground and stuff, but once they actually get on the pillars and stuff, that's basically the second half, and that part I felt was fantastic.
I thought
that was where actually the better choreography was going on.
I loved the first half of the fight too, but I feel like they used more of just the blurred motions in the first half than they did in the second half.
Yeah. Remember that she can scatter the arrow and reform it like she did when fighting Pyrrha. And Pyrrha used her shield to intercept it initially.
That's true.
That was one of the things that I felt like would have been something where it's a little bit dangerous to try and manipulate the elements with someone who can also manipulate the elements.
Pyrrha's aura was broken at that point, so it was an execution. But with Raven...
And there's nothing to say that...
I mean, she could have done that, but it might not have hurt her. It might have just broken on her aura or something.
It was something that I was always wondering if they would get into. There's a trope in fantasy where the two powers hit each other from the person, and there's this kind of this push and pull kind of thing. And anime has done it to death. They have butchered it so many times.
And RWBY only did it once, and that was in the fight versus Cinder and Ozpin, and it was great.
Right. What I was hoping that they would do is every once in a while show them exchanging blows. Not that the fight would be so perfect, but that there would be this raw thing of they're each actually taking hits. And that was maybe my only real criticism of the fight, was that both of them just kind of crashed to the ground and then both their auras were gone. And then Cinder got her with the arm.
Right, that did seem to be very convenient that their auras just break at that random time. Yeah.
But yeah. Favorite part was Vernal dodging all those giant rocks. Volume 6 is probably going to be the darkest yet. Oh yeah, we'll get into Volume 6, don't worry.
Yeah.
Few death scenes.
Can Raven summon that massive ice sword when she's in her bird form? That is an excellent question.
I think that when she's in her bird form, it's kind of like she just hit the mount button for an MMO. She's basically just like, all right, I'm going to mount up, and then poof, she can't do anything.
Yeah.
But when she does anything, she automatically dismounts.
But what if she was calling down lightning as a bird?
What I want to see her do is to fly up as a bird and just airdrop. And at the last second, turn back into a bird, then reform back into a person so that she can essentially...
Sure. But then why not just fly down as a bird?
Because it's slower.
I mean, gravity should be the same.
Well, yeah.
But anyways. Yeah. Okay, one other thing. All right. Speaking of epic, awesome fights, Hazel's fight was great.
Well, specifically, Hazel became our favorite non-Cinder group character with Salem and her council. The fact we're forget Watts and Tyrion now. Hazel just got really interesting.
Yep, I knew I was going to like Hazel. Once he started talking and doing those few words,
very deep voice.
very very deep voice, and his line to Oscar, don't let something like this stand in your way, things like that. It's okay, there's a bit of contradiction there, right?
Yep.
And the fact that they kept that up, built on it, in fact, and then were able to capitalize on the idea that he is this ancient, unstoppable monster being, right?
Yeah.
It actually worked, because there are a few things that's disappointing as basically setting up some character to be this thing of this guy will take you on his own. He doesn't need help. You guys are doomed, right? It's useless to resist. Right. And then they get taken down anyways. It's no big deal. But instead, Hazel shows up, he juices up on his dust, and Crow is out.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of got casually mentioned was that Hazel regenerates his aura faster than anyone can really handle. And this was something I had been wondering when they were going to do in RWBY, was have someone that was not invulnerable, but seemingly so. To where it wouldn't really matter how many people you sent at them, no one could get a hit big enough for it to actually mean anything. And then when Hazel show up and he's now double dipping into his dust...
Yep.
You get a little bit terrified because you're wait, what is this guy's limit?
Right.
Where can we actually push
Exactly.
him to where he would actually stop?
Yep.
And they never find it.
Nope.
Even with Nora, like full on
Smash.
like ulting him with her like Nora smash.
Yep. It was
did nothing but just kind of befuddle him for about 5 seconds.
It felt like they were basically in a boss fight, right? And they're like, okay, there's this crazy boss and we can't beat him.
Yep.
And they're like, all right, we're getting him down, whittling down his health, and finishing move, boom, yeah, he's gone. And then he gets up, bloop, bloop, back to full health, and they're just like,
crap. One of the funny things about Hazel is he's kind of a Bane character from DC
totally.
Comics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's literally juicing himself up
Yep.
to be stronger. And that kind of trope is done a little bit too much with the Bruiser, is that they kind of go into a berserker fury.
And the reason why it's usually done so badly is because that's what they focus on and nothing else. Whereas with Hazel, they gave him more personality than most of the other villains. Like, even Cinder, I would say, doesn't have as...
They didn't give him personality.
They gave him motivation. Exactly,
Yep.
right. And he had better motivation than, I would say, any of Salem's whole group, including Cinder. Like, Cinder's lust for power is great. And, like, I love having her be, like, on the screen.
Yeah, she's the Darth Vader of
exactly.
in that regard.
But
Hazel's is
like,
a little bit different, because Hazel's is hinting at something directly towards the viewer. It's something that is good to do in storytellings. It's to get the heroes to question why they do what they do. And it's often done pretty kind of just averagely, nothing special. But this one, I would say, was a risky move by Rooster Teeth, because they did in-fight exposition. They've never done that before.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
and
that's
when
true.
when they did that, they cleverly had it be with Oscar, with Ozpin telling him things telepathically. With this story, they gave a very basic kind of backstory. It's not something that's super complex or anything.
Nope.
But because of how Hazel's character is presented, and because of what his semblance is, it stands to reason that there's a correlation there.
Well, and not just that. It's the idea that they took the Bruiser, right, who is normally the one-dimensional character, and they gave him not only a great sense of motivation, and because he is very active in pursuing his goals. Once he sees Ozpin there, he's I'm Ozpin.
You'll die
the
over
voice
and over again.
Yeah, the voice was great. It sounded intimidating. They took an already deep voice and made it like scarier. But it's the idea that his motivation is based around someone else. Because Emerald has that, right?
Yep.
But the problem with, say, Emerald is that she doesn't take action on her own. Yep. And usually she's you can kind of forget that she's there, with the exception of, she has illusions, so we need to worry about that. But that's it. Like, it's very much, we are only aware of her because of her power, not because of her personality. Hazel, he's both a threat, and he takes action.
And he's now a character.
Now he's a character, too.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't want them to just stop at Hazel, or just kind of do one of the others. We need to do more of that.
That's why we're so excited to see Uncle Hazel with Mercury and Emerald, because that could
comments
help
we
bring
were
it out
missing
of them.
Here. Rob Nips, I get the Hansel and Gretel thing, but I didn't like it as a motivation. That's okay. That's okay.
And they didn't really go into it super deep. They just,
Yeah, they just started the beginning of it. Phil Wilson, I hope they go into depth into the villains' backstories. Hazel being manipulated by Salem? Potentially.
Possibly.
Tyrion tortured to madness by Faunus haters? Oh, dang.
Okay.
I didn't think about that, because being a Scorpion Faunus might lend itself to extra discrimination from humans, because it's like, oh, you're not only a Faunus, you're a predator Faunus, that has like a poison about you.
I hadn't thought of that. That would be crazy. I don't really want to sympathize with Tyrion, but
no, not really.
But yeah, that would be.
Manila 223. Do you think Hazel would have a kind of symptoms
after using the
dust? Like after juicing up, he would end up really tired or something.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of consequence or limitation. Otherwise, why does he not use it all the time? Right?
You know what I think it is? It's like some kind of tissue damage. And it's why he's so strong, It's that his body is constantly breaking down the muscle to resist the damage that these are doing.
Oh, gotcha.
And then he has to keep rebuilding himself.
And the dust is
basically
the dust is disintegrating him pretty much, as well as everything in his way.
Right. So the dust is a risky thing.
So it's a kind of workout, basically.
Yeah, he's basically doing an intense vibration workout that's got some other qualities to it.
Vibration workout. That is a very particular way to say it.
Well, no, it's something that has a charged energy about it. It's basically like you just shocking yourself intentionally with electricity, kind of like Nora does, but having no semblance specifically to get stronger from that. There's a direct connection between the raw energy and the dust itself going into your physical body.
So someone said, Dawn of the Chicken said, Leo felt very anticlimactic overall. Yes, and I love that.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. He's the cowardly lion. If he had turned, then that could have been, they could have worked with that. But because he didn't, it's like, well, bye, buddy.
Yeah. In a way, Leo's character had basically signed his death warrant the minute he started working for Salem.
Yeah.
Because we got the vibe from his character that he wasn't extremely competent, and that kept us from caring about him as a threat.
Right.
What that also means is that once Salem has his use, fulfilled, she's going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But instead, he was even a coward from, betraying, the good guys and stuff, so he tries to book it and run out.
Yeah. And granted, he wasn't a really interesting character. Like, Ilya kind of,
stole that spotlight
as being the, redemption character for this volume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess as a headmaster, he did seem a little bit underwhelming, but the only other Ozpin and Ironwood aren't exactly that's tough to compare against.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to really compare almost anything to that. Go through a few more questions. I thought the Emerald's going to become the next Fall Maiden if Cinder died, but so far there's no sign of that. I will not believe Cinder is dead until I see the Maiden powers literally being used by someone else.
Or a head on a spike
or that.
A glass case.
Yeah. Oh, I think Hazel has an excellent parallel with Yang. We know how much Ruby means to her, and that's been really given focus this volume, and she doesn't trust Ozpin.
That's a good point. And Raven was trying to poke at that and basically say, hey, what happened? Well, she didn't actually talk about what happened to Summer, but
yeah. Darcy Forrest asked, wouldn't Hazel in Atlas, the home of dust, be bad news for our heroes, or will that be where he meets his end in a somewhat poetic manner?
Possibly.
I think Watts getting shut down, no pun intended, in Atlas makes sense, but I don't know if he would die there.
No, they were saying Hazel.
Oh, Hazel.
I don't think Hazel's going to be in Atlas because I don't think they'll...
Yeah.
I think they'll basically ration out how they get rid of these evil League of Evil guys.
Right.
So if we ever have two of them in the same spot, that probably means that the bad guys are going to win. It's probably their stomping time, right?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know.
JLK12 asked, do you think Sun and Blake would have beat Adam in a 2v1 fight?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
yes.
I don't know about that.
I think Blake would have beaten Adam in a fight at that point if they fought right there.
If they fought right there 1v1 alone,
I think Blake would win.
See Blake beating him.
It's the Zuko and Azula thing,
Yeah. Adam's slipping.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, then probably with the 2v1 it would have been even easier.
What will you do if they ever introduce a Spider Grim?
Hold on, I'm casually skipping that question. Just let me know. I'm calling it now. Ren's semblance will grow and be able to subdue Hazel's anger. Well, that's been something that we've been theorizing for a little bit of a while now. But yeah, that was something I think I mentioned in a Murder of Birds stream a week ago. But yeah, it's a pretty cool idea, huh? Pretty legit. I like the actual death and thought it was well executed. I did kind of wish he had some courage in the end, like the real Cowardly Lion did.
Yeah, that could have been really nice.
He did actually. He tried to attack the tentacle grim thing.
I would not say it was courage.
No, it's stupidity.
Right.
But oftentimes, 1 part brave, 3 parts fool.
Sure.
I would say that was the most brave thing he could have done, and it was the dumbest thing he could have done. In that brief second. Like, it
Yeah, I saw it more of as a desperation thing than an actual bravery. What I would have liked to see is that after, when he was getting pulled back, if he, like, accepted his fate sort of a thing and was like, you're going to lose. Like, he did some sort of, like, I think your Coulson type thing.
Yeah, I think your physical body takes over too much to where the fear is just your survival mode, Jacob. You can't. That's not as realistic as it actually is. And
RWBY hasn't been super realistic, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But Ozpin has influence over those kinds of missions. Damn else knows Cinder's first and last words in this volume were "shut up." Oh,
I did not notice that.
I'll have to double check on that because I am doing a trivia game in the month of March, and I am noticing on little trivia things. So thanks for passing that on to me.
If Hazel put gravity dust in his body, does that mean he'd be able to fly?
If Hazel put gravity dust in his body, I would be very terrified at the results. I think Hazel probably doesn't even mess with gravity dust.
Well, here's the question: when does the dust run out? When you leave Earth's atmosphere, right? So, like he wouldn't be able to control it at that point. Like, he wouldn't necessarily be able to fly, but he'd float probably. But that might not be very helpful.
Dust is not an unlimited energy source.
That's true. That's true.
Is Sacrifice a Cinder song, a Raven song, or a Cinder and Raven song? Guys, Sacrifice is a huge song.
It's for a lot of people.
It's for a lot of people. Yeah. Hey, Caleb, what would we do if they ever introduced a spider like Grim? Okay, yeah, we'll get to this question. If you saw my Hunter reaction to the bit where they had the spiders, the literal spiders, and they kept cutting back to it, that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, that part. Yeah. Do you think Jean will be able to amplify auras during a fight from a distance?
Hopefully not. That seems like it'd be a little bit OP. I want there to be some good limitations on that, since it's such a general purpose, like always useful type semblance.
Yeah, I could see him eventually getting to be able to do it from range, but I feel like it's a nice thing that he has to touch someone for now, or at least has to be really close to them.
Waiting for someone's weapon to be a lightsaber. That's what Adam tried to do.
Yeah, Adam came pretty close to lightsaber, though. Yeah. Fine. What will replace Ruby and Death Parade? Well, Ruby Chibi will replace Ruby.
Because it's starting right after.
Yeah, and Death Parade has already been replaced by Monster. Yeah.
Which is great, by the way.
Yep.
Should check it out.
Do you think Adam is like Kylo Ren, but without the sympathy and relatability? Also, Kylo is hotter. Ha! Ha! We did bring up a little bit that he kind of wants to be the edgy character for edgy's sake.
But
it's kind of, they're both doing a disservice to each other in a different way.
Saying that Adam is like Kylo Ren, but without the sympathy and relatability, that's basically like saying that they're both edgelords. Because that's the conflict in Kylo Ren is the whole main point of his character, really. That's why he's interesting, even if some people don't like that. Whereas Adam, he doesn't have that. He's just an asshole.
Yep. Chad is 20 seconds behind.
Right.
Or about 12
thank you,
seconds
Ethan.
behind.
I love this shirt. Yes.
Yes, that shirt is fantastic. Okay, so we're getting off track with questions.
Yes.
Let's go back into talking about the bit about the finale. So Raven as a character.
Yes, we hadn't seen, like, we'd seen some good stuff from her leading up to this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But with her thing of, I'm the Spring Maiden, and her whole conversation with Yang, that was where she really skyrocketed as awesome.
She had her conversation with Cinder and Emerald, Mercury, and Watts, and all them.
And she had her conversation with Crow in Volume 4.
Yep, she had a conversation with Yang, but one of the things that Raven had was this enigmatic force around her that we couldn't tell whether or not that was really Raven. One of the things that we had a little bit of exposition from Tai Yang. And he painted a slightly more optimistic view of Raven.
Right, and that might be because he's,
biased
just a bit.
But given that she's left him, a long time ago, he might be a little bit more forthcoming and honest.
Right.
Than we'd think.
And the fact that he didn't, that was how he described her, makes me really excited for their interactions in Volume 6.
Yeah, because you're jumping ahead.
I know, but... It might be that that's what she's more like when she's around him, which could be cool to see.
Okay, so Raven's character, up until this point, has had vague motivations, strange ideals that have contradictions in them.
Right.
She's had a very kind of built-up mystery surrounding the power that she has in her camp with her. And when we meet Vernal, we all naturally assume she's the Spring Maiden, but they left very clever hints all throughout the volume that Raven was in fact the Spring Maiden. Some people actually called it with dated proof and everything on Reddit threads and such. And that kind of stuff shows that this was something that, at least for this volume, RWBY knew what they were doing. And I think based on actually the conversation between her and Crow, they had it planned back then as well.
Yeah, she probably already was. And one of the
of course she already
was. Yes. But one of the things that I like when I was going back and just admiring the show, even the little things like when Mercury and Cinder and everybody come to the camp, Vernal's like, so we've got guests, right? Raven's like, get me my helmet.
Yep.
Yep. It's one of those things that you don't think about when you watch it for the first time. When you go back, you're like, I see.
But what this does is this elevates Raven into way more interesting territory. One of the things that Jacob and I don't really buy into a lot is the characters that are edgy without any reason.
Right.
Or that the reason is being hid, generally for more edginess. Raven was one of those characters up until recently.
Right. Yeah.
And it wasn't that we disliked her character or anything like that. If anything, we were really excited when she was on screen. But we didn't have a character to latch on to.
Exactly, because she had been built up so much in the story as Raven is Raven. She's Yang's mom. She's Ty's wife. She split. She's Crow's sister. She is important.
Yep.
But then when she showed up, we still, even after we'd seen her a couple times, we didn't really know who she was.
Yeah. We had this idea that she was a leader and someone who did kind of what was necessary, which are all marked traits of a decent hero and a decent villain. It just depends on where things go. So a lot of the volume was basically just trying to figure out which side she would end up on.
Right.
And I believe we were, in general, predicting that Raven would tend towards herself rather than any specific faction involving Ozpin and Salem.
Yeah, and that had been established very strongly.
Yeah. But one thing that they did, this volume, that was very powerful, was they had the conversation between Yang and Raven go in depth into the contradictions of Raven's ideologies and beliefs.
They addressed the questions that they knew we had lurking in our minds.
Yep.
Which is fantastic.
And when they did that, Raven's persona, her facade, yes, it fell apart. Yep. It burned to ash. There was nothing of it remaining that she could use to throw in between her and Yang.
Right.
And one of the things that kind of echoes, in a way, a lot of what makes the Bronwyn twins so similar is that they both throw specific things that are negative character quirks about themselves in the path of other people attempting to understand them and get close to them.
Oh.
Crow has his alcoholism and his general snarky attitude.
Right.
Raven has her strongest survival of the fittest kind of mentality, and also her kind of charismatic beating around the bush verbal manipulation.
Yeah.
You'll notice this especially when she's talking with Yang.
Yep. And
in
Yang
front of
doesn't
her
take any of it.
in front of her gang, her tribe.
Right. She's a peacock. Like
yes.
Like,
but the thing is she's not performing she's not trying to perform visibly. She's trying to pretend that she's not.
Right. Yeah, and it's and one of the things that I really loved about that scene with the first conversation with Raven and Yang is that Yang wasn't buying into it. She wasn't letting her get under her skin and all that stuff. She was dishing it right back, which is one of those things of like, her mother's daughter, right? But then it's also the idea that maybe Raven wasn't actually like, she was hoping maybe that Yang would be fooled by it, but it was mainly just for her audience. Right. And then she's like, let's talk inside.
Yep. Like once she couldn't control Yang anymore, then she took it inside, and Raven's character completely changed. Yep. And this is something that
not every conflict has to be a fight. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All of Yang and Raven's conversations, I consider them to be fights because they are of that level of conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
What Raven did though this volume secured her character as being someone that is willing to compromise her ideals when it comes to family. And this is something that is really funny. Do you guys remember when she said family, always coming around when they need something? Guess where Raven ended up at the end of this volume? Eating her words, going straight back to Tai Yang. And that conversation is not going to be an easy one. It is not going to be a I'm sorry, Tai Yang, or a I'm sorry, Raven. It's going to be a very, can
I get you some tea?
Yeah. Really awkward.
Yeah. And we're going to be amazing.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be so good.
Yes, God bless Anna Holm, Raven's voice actress. She was amazing.
She does an amazing job.
Is one of the things that's interesting. Raven's character didn't generally have lines that required incredible voice acting talent in order to say or to voice act.
Sure.
But there were quite a large number of them this volume, in particular with when she was interacting with Yang. And one of the things that RWBY as a show has constantly shown us is that there are a lot of different types of mother figures in this story.
Yep.
And they want to continually show us different types of mother figures, and not all of them are healthy.
Yep.
I like that Weiss and Yang share that.
We haven't even seen Weiss's mom.
Yes, but Weiss went in depth into
she did, which was very
that
much
stuff
appreciated.
in particular. When Yang was kind of lamenting with a lot of the problems she's had with her mom. And it's things like that where the characters get extra fuel to strengthen their connection. But specifically with Raven was a character that had already been previously introduced, a little bit hyped up, a little bit overhyped up in some ways. But when her arc at the end of this volume capitulated and she went back to her tribe, I'm guessing, the story took a very mature turn. There's a lot of discussion I almost want to go at in a separate bit just specifically on Raven's character and her motivations now actually getting a lot more clear. Like one of the things that I feel like they did was they inferred a lot of things that fit the pieces of a puzzle that we hadn't had the pieces for a long time. We're basically looking at a puzzle that had 20 pieces missing, and Raven just filled 7 of those pieces.
She did
in the last 2 episodes of this volume.
Yep. And as far as waste, because I still consider this point to be where we've been introduced to Raven's character, right? Because the facades have all been stripped away.
Yep.
And as far as a way to make us care about a character so relatively quickly after their introduction, even though she did have all the time before, and she is very closely connected to so many of the other characters. It's like, all right, now I'm really excited to see what they do with her because, from here on out, it's all new stuff.
Yep.
And we'll really get at the meat of the matter, as opposed to her prancing around and beating around the bush and all that,
and running away.
Exactly, which means we also might get that Team Stark flashback, which would be
cool. So Jacob, here's one of the things I think we should do for the end of this stream here. Let's imagine we're RWBY, right?
Okay.
Volume
we are Miles
6,
and Carrie.
Volume 6 is coming around the corner.
We have to decide what to do.
Let's go through the rule of cool things that you want each character to kind of go through, and we'll interact with you guys, chat, and let us know what you think about our stuff here. For Team RWBY, I think it's going to be stuff involving the Penny potential connection.
Yeah, I would actually say that the easiest ones to tell for are not Team RWBY because they had so much awesome stuff.
But let's go and start with RWBY.
Yeah, so
just go
with RWBY, the whole Penny situation.
But what is her rule of cool thing going to be? Silver Eyes? Learning how to use them, maybe in correlation to some Team Stark flashback stuff?
It could be. I think she might use them again, or it'll be brought up. But I don't think Volume 6 will show us RWBY mastering Silver Eyes.
Okay, here's something that I want RWBY to have that is something that we haven't seen from her before. I want her to be legitimately angry at the way the Schnee family has treated Weiss, and to have a silly moment that's actually a little bit kind of telling. Is kind of a let me at him, where Weiss is like holding her back, like no. But RWBY having to do a little bit of a verbal conflict without her scythe.
I think it will be a verbal conflict. I think it'll involve Penny. Either Penny 2.0 or some other like older version of Penny or something like that, right?
Right.
Because that's like they have to address that. They just have to.
Yeah,
and
totally. Yeah. So with Weiss, I think the main thing with her is her going back to their family and giving a lot dished back to the Schnee family now that she has the aid of all of her friends with her.
Here's my prediction for her rule of cool moment. So when she left, it was the interactions were a lot of Weiss, Ironwood, and Jacques. Right? When she comes back, I get the feeling it's going to be something where she'll basically have to negotiate the continuation of dust production, basically. Okay. Because it's like, okay, it's wartime now.
Not yet.
Okay.
You think war is going to start in Volume 6?
No, but it's one of those things where I think this is something that they at least should do. But they should realize, okay, they attacked another school. This is where we need to start getting ready. The fact that Atlas was seen, at the fall of Beacon, that's in the past now. Haven just got attacked. We were able to beat them back, but we don't know if we'll be able to do it again. When they come next time, they'll be stronger and they'll be better prepared, right? Mm-hmm. So it'll be something where she'll be coming to Ironwood and Jacques, not as the bird in a cage that needs shoo, go back to your room. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be something where she's actually coming as a third party,
right?
And it is going to be so awesome to see Jacques try and do his usual thing, and she's totally not going to be buying it. Ironwood won't even have to step in for her, and in fact, she's going to be talking more to Ironwood than she is going to be to Jacques.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. I do have a vibe that the next volume will have a little bit more political stuff involved with it.
Sure, like since Watts is the next villain.
Yes, it's a little bit more intrigue. Watts is the local antagonist in this area.
Right. They did Tyrion in Volume 4.
Other than the Schnee
Basil
family.
Volume 5. Watts.
Also, they're more high-to-do societies, so it might require them to be a little bit more careful with how they utilize things like their weapons.
Someone said, I want to see Adam assassinate Jacques.
Ha! Well,
that'd be great, but
we'll see. That sounds a little bit of like a jump ahead in logic. But with Blake, I want to see Blake actually liberating the Faunus there.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really want to see is that
and
she's gathering the Faunus to be united under something that's not about just rebelling against the current state of things, but about unifying and protecting all Faunus, not just those that are for their specific stream of the cause.
Exactly, and that can be another awesome way to introduce conflict between Weiss and Jacques, because they use Faunus Labor and at the Shiny Dust Company, and that could be great. Good.
Now for Yang, I think things are going to be a little bit dicier. I see Yang starting to question a little bit of some of the things that Crow and Ozpin have said, and she kind of watches them.
Okay.
And it's not that
she
Yang
still
takes
hasn't
a back
told
seat.
them that Raven is the maiden.
Yep, exactly.
Like
Yang has some secrets. Yang has the relic also. I think one of her rule of cool things will be actually using the relic in some way. And I feel like one of the most natural plot-driven ways they could have the Team Stark flashback
is with the knowledge
with the Relic of Knowledge. So I think Yang will trigger that, and I think it will be using the relic, and that will be the...
Yes, we need to meet Weiss's mother.
Yes, that will happen in Volume 6, for sure.
And that can be how they do it. Okay, because here's something I could see. If they're going intrigue style, right, because of Watts, and they don't have the White Fang anymore, what is another faction that they could theoretically get control of? Iron Daddy isn't going full dictator yet, right? And it wouldn't make sense for that to be a problem right now because Salem doesn't seem to have large forces. Right. So what if Watts basically got Jacques on their side? That's an excuse for them to be able to actually be at odds with Jacques and little... I'll just say it. I'll just keep it at Whitley right now. And then that can be an opening for conflict for Weiss and also for her mom to reclaim the Shiny Dust Company. Because
that might not happen. I feel like this is going to be one of the ways that the good guys will lose almost no matter what they do, is that Dust production will grind to a halt by the end of Volume 6.
Okay.
And Dust will become a rare thing.
Or it could be something... Okay.
Or it will be something that there will be a gap of time where the world is very vulnerable.
Here's what I would like to see.
And then Atlas is getting prepared for their attack.
This is what I would like to see, and I'm not exactly sure how they would do this. Because right now, Atlas is just keeping all the dust, right? But if Jacques ended up really getting hurt, as far as his company goes, with the Faunus Labor going away and things like that and all that stuff, and Watts gets under his skin, what if he basically ended up supplying Salem with dust?
Yes, I just don't think she has a really big need for it because she's the Grim Queen. Why does she need dust?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it seems like that is a power faction that is going to be on a side, and it seems like the most likely one to turn.
Yes, I like that side of the intrigue.
How it'll end up playing out and how it'll be used, who knows?
Right. But moving on to Team Juniper, I want to see the development of Ren and Nora's relationship a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I want to see them kind of coming together more as a team. And if Oscar is involved with the group, I want to see Oscar slotting into that perfect spot for Team Juniper to become Team Orange. And not have him necessarily be the leader. I mean, they can still be called...
Ozpin is
they can still be called Team Junior or whatever if you want to make Jean the leader. But I think that him finding a place with them would really be cool to have Ren kind of be his big brother, Nora be his big sister... And it's kind of like the couple kind of playing with their new child, essentially.
Well, and here's the other thing that I would like to see.
Safe and happy.
I want to see Jean actually have a good discussion with Oscar. Because he was mad.
That's exactly what I think will happen.
He was mad, and suitably so, right? Makes sense.
Yep.
I want to see him bring back up, though, the idea that Ozpin chose Jean as the team leader.
Yes.
Because right now...
Yeah, let's move over to Jean now. Let's move over to Jean.
This is one of those points where rubber meets road. They're no longer at school.
Right.
Do you still think your decision was a good one?
Yep. Yep. Jean is going... I mean, this is something, again, this is not a new theory. This is not our theory exclusively. This is a ton of people have theorized this. That Jean and Ozpin are actually related because Ozpin was the King of Vale who ended the war in one of his previous incarnations, and Jean is descended from a line of warriors, and the sword he's using is potentially the sword that the King of Vale, aka Ozpin, used. Yada, yada, yada. I like the theory. I feel like them going more into Jean's family / reasoning as to why he, has this kind of odd, interaction or kind of appreciation from Ozpin. But then also Jean's semblance being utilized in a clever way. I want to see Jean amplify someone else's semblance to do something that's ridiculous.
Well, here's something that I always thought would be really cool. Once Jean was introduced as being able to amplify aura, or at least send aura or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, if the penny bots were made by taking an actual person's soul and aura and jamming it into a robot, what would happen if Jean tried to do something like that?
Well, I think he would need to transfer everything then.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's a difference between transferring aura and your soul.
Right.
Aura is the manifestation of the soul. It is not the soul itself.
Right, and the soul is tied to the aura.
No. It's soul is the center. Aura is the energy that comes from the soul, and it manifests physically. Semblance is the unique, personal application of your aura.
Okay.
Yeah. So with Jean going in that direction, I think that would be mostly good for the heroes, particularly with the villains, though. With Salem, I want to see her make New Grimm.
Yes.
I want to see her specifically go into these pits and form a Grimm in front of us, guys.
I want to see alerts coming out of the pool,
right. I want to call it right now. If they are introducing a new villain and they want a clever way to bring it up, have
it
this
be a Grimm villain that she creates.
Have it be a Grimm thing, person, mix, whatever that she creates. Have it be awful. Have it be kind of sad to watch because someone's, own body is getting violated in this way. But also, it's incredibly terrifying because this is something she just probably casually does. But she probably does it also in a little bit of anger because of the failure at Haven Academy.
Exactly. Because this new creature, assuming it happens, could be considered a replacement for Cinder, because Cinder was her previous, seemingly most forefront experiment of merging people in Grimm or some new, Grimm entity thing.
Yep.
So this could be her basically, almost like she's saying, okay, I guess Cinder's gone, she was a failure, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll make this new thing.
Right. What if it was Cinder's body? Yeah, Jacob and I have thought long and hard about the Cinder corruption theory thing. But we just want Cinder to be alive.
Corrupted and all that stuff, yeah, but I don't want it to be something where she's completely just turned into a Grimm type thing.
Instantly, yeah.
Exactly.
That would be cool, but I'd prefer it to be done a different way.
I want it to be done slowly over time so that it's like you see...
Right. Tangy Mafia asks, do you think Raven will have certain people like Salem, etc. after them? No, not really. I mean, there's no reason to now.
They won't, until Cinder gets back there, they won't know that Raven's the maiden.
Yep. They don't have really any info on the whole situation.
Not at all.
So it's a little bit up in the air. Also, they were trying to find the Spring Maiden for the longest time. They couldn't.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't think they'll be going after her for now. What do you think of the theory that Salem is actually trapped in her dimension and that destroying the school helps free her, or that the relics can free her? Kind of thought of from Arnold. Yes, I've heard this theory. I like that the relics aren't then some kind of OP stat boost device like the Maiden powers essentially are.
Right. And it also kind of makes sense because if Ozpin's been fighting her this whole time, and he's been getting weaker, well, why hasn't Salem taken over already?
Right.
One of the ways that it would make a lot of sense is that Ozpin's just sealed her in her own dimension thing, and it's like, okay, now you have to use people like Cinder and stuff. And
yeah. And the relic being in potentially its own temporal space lends, I would say, some credence to that theory, because
it's bringing up that idea now.
Ozpin might have the ability to create dimensions, like alternate dimensions. Okay. Because they say that Ozpin was the one that hid the relics.
That's true.
So he had to create those gateways.
Maybe. So what if Salem's dimension is another one that he just made?
I think that it's something...
And she's just corrupted it to like be completely like her now.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think we don't want to go full on into the gods theories and stuff like that here, but Salem and Ozpin are a personification of the gods of Redmond, the gods of Redmond, the brothers, the two brothers.
Yep.
One of the things that I feel like we have in Remnant is we have a lot of failed creations.
Sure.
We have things that didn't go perfectly.
Exactly how they were supposed to, yeah.
And I think one of them is the moon.
Okay.
And I think that the moon doesn't necessarily have to be where Salem is. Like, that witch came from the moon. Sorry, low-key Destiny reference. But, it's Wizard, but whatever, guys. I think that Salem's dimension could just be an alternate remnant that the gods made and basically just decided...
like an upside-down kind of thing?
Yeah, with their limited power, or their power that they have, they decided, Salem, we're going to seal you over here. And Salem's like, no, I'm going to have grim portals and send my stuff over there constantly until you let me out. And they're like, okay, we'll create Ozpin so that, he can stop you.
Yeah.
And Ozpin basically is doing a iffy job. So right. I think it's a little bit tough to kind of go into the details as to what the actual origin of Salem is. It's really easy to just go, well, it's obviously Summer Rose infused with some grim thing. That's a cool theory, and there are some definite Summer Rose connections potentially there.
Well, it's kind of shot out of the sky, though, since we know that Salem is the same age as Ozpin, or around there.
Yeah, because we know that they've been around for, tens of thousands of years. Yeah. But we don't know if Salem has been reincarnating either.
That's true.
As well.
That's true. She could be. It could be actual reincarnations of the God of Light and Darkness.
Yeah, that's another thing that is very, very plausible, is that the Salem and Ozpin
are those beings.
And, they're talking about the gods that they believe in them because they've actually
seen them,
aka...
Which makes Raven's whole plight of going with neither of them a bit more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Also, there's the part of, Salem's whole fight being actually against the gods.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ozpin was created later, in order to help them defeat Salem, which seems like all kinds of wrong, because, wait, the God of Darkness was also against Salem?
Right.
Go back to the Volume 4 exposition stuff. There's some troubling things in there if we get the context of what we now know, that Ozpin was the wizard. Salem have been fighting this battle for thousands of years. It gets pretty interesting.
Now, for the side characters in Volume 6.
Yeah.
So, Ironwood.
He needs to go full dictator.
I don't think he needs to go full dictator this volume, but he needs to be a focus, because
he is going to be a source of division and contention. He is not going to be as helpful as he was in the previous volumes. It's one of the things that they've been hinting at, was that Ironwood, when he feels like he has no specific direction given to him by someone like Ozpin, he's going to act on his own. And when he acts on his own, he doesn't act in the most long-reaching, far-sighted, wise kind of way.
Well, and this is why I really hope that they keep his sort of rule of cool going, because he really has it. Like, as far as characters in the show, I would say he has it like, he's one of the highest as far as rule of cool goes.
Okay.
And right now, I don't feel like there is enough of a threat for him to be worried enough in order to go full dictator.
No,
because the white thing has just shifted.
But Jacob, the threat will come because it's going to be another RWBY volume.
Yes.
There will be a new threat or an appearance of a massive threat.
Yep.
That will initiate that. It might not be finished by the end of the volume. In fact, I almost hope it's not.
I hope not either. I like this idea of, spending a couple volumes to like build up and,
Well, I think the conflict is going global. It's just a question of how quickly, and I think it'll take at least 3 volumes for them to get there. 3 more, like 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
So Ironwood being used as a vehicle to divide and conquer would make the political intrigue, means of the story very good, because on the one hand you have the military-industrial complex with Ironwood, and then you have the technological side of things with the Schnee Dust Company, and then you have our protagonists coming in who are completely not ready for this type of, handling of things, and then have to rely on Weiss, have to rely on maybe some of the characters that are already there, have to talk with people like Klein, like Ironwood, choose their allies carefully, kind of maneuver more like a cohesive unit rather than just swinging our weapons around everywhere and killing Grimm.
So here's where I could see Ironwood kind of getting in the way, but also being helpful in a way that makes sense and doesn't detract from him as a character.
Okay.
Because the idea is that he should be intelligent and competent and capable and all that stuff.
To an extent, yeah.
And it's like it gets a little bit iffy and fishy as to how to act when you're dealing with something like Salem, but he's the leader of Atlas for a reason.
He is not the leader of Atlas.
Well, there's the council.
He's one of a few on the council.
Yes, but he leads the military and the school. So,
yes, he is a little bit centralizing the power of the council.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he ended up with 3 votes by the time we get back to Atlas, to where if there's 5 people on the council, he's like, if something wants to go
I now vote
way.
To dissolve the council. Yeah. But here's a way that he could basically have his interests be in conflict with the main characters without it being something where like he tries to go full dictator when the Salem threat doesn't feel big enough to warrant that, right? And that wouldn't be the logical thing to do in that sort of a situation anyways, because then it just increases the number of enemies, right?
Totally.
But if they're taking the knowledge relic to Atlas, he would very much have an interest in having that, and probably an interest in using it.
So they bring it to Atlas because Ozpin has a plan.
Right, Ozpin has a plan, right?
And that's what we can talk about Ozpin. I think Ozpin's plan is that he's going to make contact with Ironwood.
Right.
And
he's
kind of be like, okay, we need to do things with the relics. And it could be a typical thing of where they assemble the God Rocks for the bad guy, only for them to take it.
Well, sure.
But I think that they'll end up using some of the relics individually.
Right.
And I think that one of the things that Ozpin will do is he will act as a conduit with his energy in order for people to actually be able to use the relic effectively.
All right, yeah, because we don't know how the relic works.
Yes, and then by that means he will exposit in a creative way how and why the relic does what it does.
Because what I like about what they've done with Ironwood is they've made it so that on his own he is very capable, but it's usually that he doesn't have all the info, right? Yeah. And then the info that he doesn't have, like the fact that there's a virus that's, affecting the mechs or, things like that, the fact that apparently they have a dragon and all that stuff, that's where he ends up losing, right?
Yeah.
But if he has the relic of knowledge, and this will be what will make him want it, and if Ozpin is against it, that'll be the conflict. If Ozpin's along with it, that's where they can do some really awesome stuff.
For sure.
Is that could, depending on how it works, that could get rid of that idea of being in the dark about things, because he does have all this military power, and that should be something that is very effective, especially since right now their biggest threat seems to just be Grimm.
Right. Good point.
And I mean, Grimm you can just blow away. So
that's why I don't
bigger
think
and scarier.
That's why I don't think it's going to be just regular Grim.
Right.
We're going to see at least like one, maybe two different types of new Grim.
All right. Okay. Here's a crazy thought. So if good guys won this round, that means bad guys should win the next one, right?
Maybe,
but it's most likely that that's probably what's going to happen, so that they can keep the conflict up, because otherwise Salem will seem to feel like not a threat, right?
Sure.
And this is a way that they could make Watts really seem terrifying. The other potential way that they could do this is that since I know. Is that, and this is where it's like, oh, the darkest possible, like, how do we recover from this? Penny was destroyed.
Right.
And there was this declaration of war on the world, right? So Atlas would probably double down on trying to recreate Penny. But if they're going to create one, I mean, Penny seemed to work just fine. Why not create a lot? Now, what if Watts then was able to take control of the Penny army?
Now, that seems a little bit goofy in a way, because I don't want them to look like Penny.
No. I'm not saying that they'll actually be looking like Penny.
Right.
But the idea,
they wouldn't even be called Penny.
Right. They wouldn't even be called Penny. I mean, Penny was an
acronym.
An acronym, so maybe they still would be called pennies. But yeah. But the idea is it would be something like the mechs in The Fall of Beacon, but on a much larger scale, because they wouldn't be fodder anymore. It would be this idea where if you see just one of them, even though they're a faceless unit in this horde, you'd be like, oh crap, what do we do?
Right, and I think that Watts being the scientist means he has connections to specifically the person who was creating Penny, because he was the one that passed along the information about Penny to Cinder and them in order to make the capture of Beacon, the fall of Beacon, even easier.
Well, so I think that was because they... Was that because he sent it to them, or was that because they were hacked into all the computers?
That was because they hacked into all the computers, but the thing is, the person who was actually doing the hacking was Watts.
Sure.
The virus was on Ironwood's scroll.
Right.
And then he put the scroll into the Beacon Tower, and then from that access point, the virus spread and then gained more stuff. But the virus isn't an AI. You know, Watts was the one actually doing it.
Well, okay, usually in those kind of situations it would be an AI, not like a sentient AI, but it would be a program that would be running to do its thing.
Yes,
completely automated, like
but he could also have it be in a way where he's actually able to send commands to it on the fly.
Sure. And it's like, oh, here's something interesting. He's like,
he sends that
the priority list to Cinder.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's the kind of thing where Watts would be in on the technological crazy stuff that Atlas is going to do.
Yeah.
So if they bring the plot device of the Relic of Knowledge, they have an antagonist in Watts. They have a new character of Penny's kind of creator. They have Salem moving to divide everyone there. What if this whole thing is basically just a way to start an Atlas civil war?
Yeah,
and it instead becomes a thing of where you have a revolution starting up.
Right.
That the good guys do win, but it doesn't matter because it shuts down Atlas as a military power.
Yep. Because that's what I would love to see a lot more. Because the idea of Atlas going to war with the world, even though Dictator Ironwood would look very cool, right?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why that would happen. But saying
it could be a threat of that.
Right.
But as for actually going into it...
And having an Atlas civil war is a way to basically have the bad guys complement the good guys, as opposed to having the bad guys rely on a lack of intelligence on the part of the good guys, right?
Yep. Brandon Dodge kind of reminds me of the Chorus trilogy. Yep. One of the things that's very, very interesting is whenever Penny came to be in the RWBY universe, there were so many people that drew the red versus blue connection of the AI that's a robot that's also a person that has a soul but maybe isn't really all perfectly there, but is a representation for a prototype to build a better model that will have tons of them.
Yep.
Seems very similar to something we've seen in Red versus Blue, but they could do a perfect fantasy RWBY style twist to it that hits us really hard, because they could still put people in their auras in these...
And it's not just that, but it's the idea that these robots are basically they're twisted, corrupted versions of what Penny used to be. And even if they don't look like her, even if they have different people inside them and whatever, that will be something that will hit very close to home for all of the main characters, but especially for RWBY.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really excited to see, because like we want things that'll help develop RWBY as a character. Well, conflict helps develop that, and then what would it be like to have to kill a bunch of like Penny remakes?
Mm-hmm. I think the someone was asking a question why Ironwood insisted on making an Aura Robot soldier look like a little girl. Cinder asked a good question in Volume 3 when she questions why Penny was designed to look so young. I think the reason why was because the original design for them was to be installed at all the schools as security measures for Atlas.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing of where Atlas doesn't really trust all the other nations.
Yeah.
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 This is a plot, yes, Ethan. This is probably a plot that's not very original, but there's a lot of original twists on the very overly done, because AI robot army that's used to take over things, because they don't have to have it be the end goal is just the army. That's just a means to sow chaos and confusion, because really Salem's goal is not to wage direct war with humanity right now. She wants to divide humanity.
And on the whole thing of the plot not being very original, most plot aren't. Like
most plots aren't original.
All plots have basically been done before.
Yep.
And where the variety comes in is with the characters, and the fact that this plot is centered around a past character that we know and cared about, and they're dead now, and also the connection that character had to the current cast of characters means that they could do a lot of cool things with this if they decide to do
it. Hold on, missed the comment. Caroline, I like to think Penny's father just wanted to make a robot daughter, and Ironwood kind of manipulated to use it as a weapon. That's another thing.
That's possible. That would fit with the whole Pinocchio thing.
That's another thing. The end goal as to, why it ended up staying as a daughter, kind of like kid-looking figure, probably was because they found some use for it. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a reason to scrap the project because this breaks the rules of the Geneva Convention. We need to have this look like a mech so that it can be identified as a non-human thing, and therefore there'll be regulations and blah, 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 blah. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But instead, they just kept it this way. It's like, we'll use that. Let's experiment on this. And I think that's where Ironwood can tend towards the dark side, but I think he will perform the opposite of Leo in that when Ozpin shows up, he'll be like, yes, Ozpin, you're here.
Sweet, we're going.
Yes, we're back in business. Yeah. And then he'll be like, but wait, you're just a boy. And
he's like, you're still in there, right?
And then he'll assume, girl will be like, no, James.
He'll be like,
me. And he'll be like, cool. oh, sir, wow. Oh my gosh.
All right, so what do we do?
Addressing his superior officer in a way.
Exactly. And if anything, where the conflict will probably come in is that James won't necessarily like Ozpin's answer.
Yes,
but they need to do it in such a way where we still respect both James and Ozpin for one, the answer that Ozpin gives, and James's response to that.
Yep.
If it's 100%. Something where Ozpin's like, we should do nothing, it's like, come on.
Caleb, do you think this will affect any other academies, or do you think it will focus on one academy at a time? I think that they'll focus on one academy at a time because it's a clever way to introduce an area, a focused level of world building for a specific area.
Exactly. It'll still have effects on other academies and stuff, but they'll keep their perspective.
Hey, Murder Birds! Arnold, dude. Hola. Salutations. Right back at you. We're going into theories right now on Volume 6 and where things will go into Atlas right now.
Right.
And we're theorizing there's going to be kind of a more intrigue-based
Penny Army and
volume
Takeover.
With Penny 2.0s, Salem redoubling her efforts to sow chaos, but approaching things from a little bit more of an underhanded way.
Right.
Instead of being a little bit overly confident in her peons.
Because that didn't work this time.
It really didn't work this time. So we're theorizing potential, like watching her create new Grimm, a couple other things there. But yeah, it's awesome having Arnold here. I love that guy. Penny reminded me a lot of Elita from Code Lyoko. I haven't seen that.
Me neither.
Hope next volume is more focused. They haven't been able to handle multiple plot lines at the same time very well.
And everyone is reunited, so they shouldn't have the problem of having multiple plot lines, with the exception of possibly Tai Yang and Raven. But they don't have to spend a lot of time there because, again, they're very much side characters.
Yeah. The characters all being back together was something that, ambition-wise, Miles and Carrie had to pretty much solve.
And
Hold on. But because they spent all this effort to bring them together, they can now utilize the 14 episodes that they'll potentially get in the next volume more effectively. Because I think they did use it to the best of their ability, but because they have a large, massive cast of characters, giving everyone the attention they deserve is almost impossible. So that's why characters like Ren and Nora had little moments. But then the focus was, more on characters like Oscar, characters like Yang and Weiss and Raven.
Well, and having everyone in the same place does loads for being able to address each character in a short amount of time.
Yes.
That's why the whole high school setting is so popular. You don't have to worry about plot because you know what everyone's doing, and you can throw in their quips and everything all right next to each other.
Chad is talking about bring back Kevin.
Guys, Kevin needs to return.
Kevin is frozen on top of Beacon Tower, and until we start going into what the Silver-Eyed Warrior ability is, I want him to remain on Beacon Tower. Because they don't need to just rehash an old Grimm type. There are some freaky things I know the community has already come up with for amazing Grimm things. They had the Knucklevi in Volume 4. That is one of the most obscure, nightmarish things that they could have come up with. There is no end to the amount of Grimm that they could do, and I would love to see some more hybrid kind of stuff. What I'm thinking
they're
of here.
totes going to do that. I mean, that's right along the lines with the line
Kevin.
with
yeah,
Penny 2.0 anyways.
Yeah,
so
the fandom back on I think it was Valentine's Day.
Weiss should go over to Beacon Tower and just kill Kevin. That way she can summon him.
There's so much to look forward to in Atlas. Penny, her father, Mantle, the Winter Maiden, Relic Creation, the Shinny Dust Company, Watt's Revenge. So much potential. Yeah, Mantle is something I think a lot of people forget because they think it's completely gone. Whereas you're absolutely right. Mantle, as the remnant nation, haha, no pun intended, of Atlas, still is there. And it's almost another example of where Atlas has kind of gotten things a little bit wrong, whereas Atlas is the prime part of the country. And Mantle's kind of fallen to shambles a little bit. So that could be the foundation roots for a lot of the potential civil war that could go on there.
And also the potential growth, because if they can really unify Atlas and get it so that they're functioning it like a well-oiled machine like they should be, then that is a huge bonus to their side.
Lord Lafayette, they got to pull a Full Metal Alchemist. Everyone matters. Yes, but that will probably happen way later when they pull in all the stops to stop Salem. I think Weiss should kill Kevin. That way she has a summon that can spawn a bunch of other Grimm. That would be pretty intense. Which is creepier, Knucklevi or Seer Jellyfish Grimm?
I say the Jellyfish Grimm.
I think the Jellyfish Grimm is creepier.
Because it's a more minimalist approach, and it also has tentacles.
Yeah, tentacles are... Yeah, we don't mess with tentacles. When you see the multiple combined Grimm by Possession Grimm in the manga come into play. Yeah. Right. If you look into the manga stuff, they've done some whack things with Grimm. Yeah. And it could get pretty exciting if they go that route. Do you think there are Grimm that we haven't seen yet, or do you think the Grimm will stay the same? Oh yeah, they're going to show us new Grimm types.
Every single volume they've introduced new Grimm.
Yeah, in Volume 3, they casually just had Griffins show up.
Yep, they also had,
they were amazing.
We also haven't seen the Alpha Beowulfs before.
That
I don't think so.
Might not be right. No, they had big Beowulfs in Volume 2.
Not like that.
Well, that one just had special attention to animation because they used the mocap and everything specifically for it.
Grimm Cerberus.
What if we have Grimm that get roots in Greek mythology? Yeah, now you're talking.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
They did
Grimm Medusa.
They did Welsh mythology. They've done a couple other ones. They've done some Norse mythology. There's a couple things out there that get really crazy. I want to see Grimm that form and reform, like that.
Well, we've already kind of seen that with the Geist Grim.
Yes, but that's different.
Right, because it wasn't the actual Grim reforming. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I want to see a Grim that has properties that change. And as they've gotten more advanced with their technological stuff, they could really go and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, because, okay, if you think about it, like, from Volume 1 to Volume 2, right? We got those crawling Grim, right? And it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Then from Volume 2 to Volume 3, we got Kevin among the Griffins and things like that. And then, and every single volume, they just keep going crazier with the kind of Grim they introduce, except for maybe... Wait.
Right.
What new Grim did we get in this volume, actually?
Hold on. I got to clarify this. Someone was saying that you're older, and that's just not true.
No, it is absolutely true.
I am the oldest. I am 26. He is 22.
No, I'm 30, right?
You're 22.
I'm older by 4 years.
No.
Yeah.
Just to clarify this, I'm older... Jacob's younger, 26 and 22. I just have a young face. Grim Hydra, yep.
Grim Hydra would be crazy. Cerberus, that would be Medusa. A way that they could do the regenerating Grim thing in a terrifying way.
You mean a Gorgon, Jacob?
Yeah.
How about Japanese mythology Grim? That'd be legit.
That would get
legit.
Crazy.
Yes, shape-shifting Grim. That's what I'm talking about. Someone that uses... something
because the Grim
with
are kind of liquid.
Yeah, using something with the Grim to be involved with the subterfuge stuff involved in Atlas. That would be crazy. Gira for Haven Headmaster 2018. Hey, that'd be pretty cool.
Although he's also leading the White Fang.
We don't know that he's leading the White Fang yet.
Okay, that's true.
They could set it up to be a bit more democratic, where they vote their next leader.
Sure.
It's the beard that throws everyone off.
Yep, yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Whoa, you look like you're 24. Why, thank you. I do a lot for staying young looking. The entirety of the chat just got a huge splash of culture shock. I guess so. Oh, a Grim Kitsune. Oh my gosh. Guys, look up a Kitsune if you have... Yes. Who said that? Photon Blaze. Yes. I would love that. That would be...
a Grim that can spaghetti into people. Okay, yeah.
Shapeshift, but yeah.
Oh.
Did you say spaghetti?
I think he might have corrected that.
Oh, he might have. That's true. Ilias should be the next White Fang leader with a better council of advice or something. I don't think Ilias should be the leader, but I think she should be involved in the direction of the White Fang. But yeah, I'm with you in that she should have some kind of a leadership role because she bridges the gap from the previous White Fang hierarchy.
I would love to see a chest burster Grim.
Oh,
that would be cool.
Oh, dang.
That would be terrifying.
Huh.
Like, I don't know if RWBY will actually go into that because they don't really show blood very much. But that would be a way to make Grim like real scary.
That would be quite scary. I feel like the level of violence that RWBY has done doesn't really...
No, it's not... Yeah, I know.
It doesn't really work. Yeah. I think that would be cool, but it... Yeah.
A face hugger?
A face hugger works because they don't have to show it. They just let us hear it. And I think that's something that's a little bit better. I would like Grim bugs, like Grim...
And we saw the one that was in Cinder.
Yes.
That is something that's inside
somebody. That is a beetle, though. So it's not some kind of worm or anything like that.
Sure, yeah. A Grim tapeworm would be very weird. A Minotaur Grim.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, possibly. Well, looking at the show as a whole, there's a lot of focus on eyes. Do you think there's any significance with Adam or Salem's eyes?
Adam actually stapled his mask to his face.
Yeah, Adam doesn't have eyes until he takes off his mask.
Because he doesn't want anyone to be able to see into his eyes like open doors.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that have theorized... no, not a lot of people. A small selection of people that have theorized that Adam has silver eyes because of clever editing and stuff. I think they're able to guess that he has silver eyes. I do not think that is the case.
I did not even know people thought. Some people thought
exactly. But Salem's eyes are important in that she is an important character. Does it tell us anything right now with our context as to what she actually is?
Yeah,
I don't think so. But I'd love to hear your guys' theories on that, because the eyes are the
we
window
had
to the soul.
We had Lancers as the new Grimm in this volume. That's right.
Yeah.
And they were great.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
Yes.
I like the idea of the colony of Grimm.
Right. The idea of swarm Grimm tactics, basically.
Yep. That's why I like the bugs, specifically, because then you have this almost this hive-like thing from Halo, and Rooster Teeth has a lot of experience with kind of the Halo thing, and they could do something really with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anytime they can basically make Grimm actually seem scarier, because even though we kind of knew that Weiss would be okay, right? Mm-hmm. It's the idea that these Grimm, when she was fighting the Lancer Grimm, it's like, okay, these are actually a threat, and it's not just by being a dragon, right? Because you can only have so many dragons. Hence why
you can only have so many dragons.
Yeah. Hence why I would love the idea of something like a Chestburster Grimm or something along those lines, where you can have a Grimm that is very scary without being visually striking like the Knucklevi.
Yeah, totally. Is there still the theory that Adam is actually blind? I think so, but
know.
not as big as some of the other ones. Salem's eyes are silver in the Seer Grimm concept art. Okay, I don't take concept art too literally. One of the things,
like openings.
Well, yes, it's like openings,
except less so.
Less so, because the concept art is a concept. Right. They then draw from the concept art towards things that would, What
if we got a Grimm that was like a mask that had spikes that wrapped around the person's head and granted them special powers and took over them,
like JoJo's?
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Someone put that in the comments, didn't
they?
Yep,
they did. They totally
just
did.
For jokes. A stone mask man from JoJo's Grimm.
No, that's serious.
Yo,
stuff.
What if Crow Grimm, Crow Bird form versus Crow Grimm? Best fight, 10 out of 10. Yes! Headcanon accepted 100%.
You know what? That would be
11 out of 10 theory. I would love to see that. Best squawking fight of 2018. Yep. It's caw, 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 and then Crow dies.
Yep.
And he literally falls with like a death flag as he's like waving it. Just like,
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people thought Ilya had silver eyes when they were actually just really faded purple. Yeah, when people point out, ooh, they have silver eyes,
it doesn't mean as much anymore because we now know that silver eyes are a thing. So
no, it's completely pointless because it detracts from the silver-eyed warriors are rare trait thing.
Although that would be funny though, if Ilya had to fight Cinder or something at some point, and she makes her eyes look silver just to scare Cinder, so that Cinder's like, wait a minute, oh crap, there's another one.
Yeah, that's not how it works, but whatever. Perspective changes everything in anime. It changes everything.
Yep. It does indeed.
It's true.
Yep.
For sure. And more insect faunus, please. Yeah, that would be cool. More faunus types would be fun. I feel like one of the things that we're actually going to be the most excited about in this next volume is winter outfits for the new team.
That's gonna be really cool.
So guys, let's be real. All this new plot stuff and everything,
we just want to see new fashion.
We just want to see new clothes.
Okay.
New outfits for our teammates.
Okay.
And,
okay. This might be completely
our boys and girls
without reason for why to expect this, but since we're talking about fashion here, all right, where have all the teams been that we've seen in previous volumes? What are they doing? What are they up to? I would love to see Team Coffee sitting around in winter gear with steaming cups of coffee, just sort of kicking back, feet on the table, just like, oh, hey.
And they just walk by them and don't say anything. That would be just... I feel like
that would be like a Rooster Tease.
That would be a really bad Rooster Tease, but I feel like they couldn't do that. RWBY would be like, that's too dangerous. If they did that, they could probably get some real fan backlash. So I think what they'll do is actually save them. No, I think they'll save them for the return to Haven.
Right.
To Vale.
Right, and because the real issue right now is not that those characters couldn't be introduced, but the idea that the cast is already so large and they just got everyone back on the same track.
Yeah, we don't need cameos right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Neo. Because anytime you bring
shut your mouth.
I know, Jacob. Neo was not intended to be in this show from the get-go. She is not a part of some grand overarching plot. She's No, you're going to laugh at this. She is basically the NPC that the PCs turned into a main character when they were tabletop role-playing with their DM.
You're saying the Cabbage Man wasn't good? You're saying that Toph wasn't good? Toph was originally going to be a dude.
Yeah. I'm saying that Toph was always going to be in the grander story. The gender really, was a big deal, but Neo didn't exist until 5 days or so before the actual episode aired.
Can you please educate him in the error of his ways?
I'll just say, I would like Neo to come back, but I don't want her to come back and take away time from characters that actually need more screen time. Oh. That's all I'm saying.
Well, since you hate Neo so much, I guess you'll just have to suffer through all the awesome moments she's going to be getting in this next season of Chibi.
Yes, I love Neo and Chibi. Chibi Neo and Chibi Roman are some of my favorite things about RWBY Chibi. I will take 100, Neo and Roman skits that get all repetitive before we get another one of those junior detectives.
Yes.
Ones. Way, way, way better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, of course I don't hate Neo. I just want there to be more character depth given to the characters that we already have.
Sure.
And yes. I think that because the Kerubi set this up a specific way, they now have a lot of screen time potential that they can give to characters that need more character time, depth, and all that.
Yeah.
In Volume 6 of RWBY. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
They could probably afford a couple cameos, but I don't want to see Team Coffee there, kind of literally breaking the fourth wall, like nodding to the camera, holding a coffee, sipping it with like a full-on ship name on the mug and everything. Like that's what you're saying basically feels like to me.
No, it was just that you were talking about winter clothing and style and design and stuff.
Yeah. But back to that. Let's go into that. So, that's going to be so cool, guys.
That is going to be very cool.
We can see Weiss in furs.
Oh, yeah. We can see Weiss in furs.
Maybe that's suggesting animal cruelty, so no. Weiss wouldn't be in furs. She's a reformed individual.
No, see, the thing is, it's all summoned fur.
Oh.
It's summoned grim fur.
Weiss is wearing summoned clothes. She just has to defeat the clothes in combat first, though. She kills the clothes, and then she summons it. Wait, does that mean, though, if her semblance ever gets distracted, though, that she would be naked?
No, it's just that she wouldn't have a coat.
Sure, yeah. She wouldn't have a coat, right.
Get your mind
exactly.
How is RWBY going to keep her goth look? That is an excellent question. I don't know.
I think that RWBY getting a coat, kind of a Red Riding Hood coat again, would be perfect.
Sure.
I also really want to see Ren's new fashion, because Ren
is always on point as far as fashion goes.
He killed it in his new outfit. Yep.
Yeah.
New look. Winter is the perfect time for goth aesthetics. Are you kidding me? Yes. Well said. Weiss needs to wear Snow Pea. Oh my gosh. Kind of off topic, going back to Raven, I think she's going to end up dying.
Probably at some point.
I think most of Team Stark is going to end up dying.
Right, because they need to have that whole passing on of the torch thing.
Yep. One of the things that I will not spoil anything, but there's an anime that Monty was a very big fan of, and there was a protagonist in there.
I think you might be getting a bit too close.
Okay. Well, characters are going to die in RWBY because it's RWBY. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Enough said.
They set that up. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to suck, but we're going to love it when we look back on it.
Yep.
It'll hurt so good.
But I really wonder
always combat
who will take the main character slot this volume. You know how Weiss and Yang kind of took it this volume for Team RWBY? And then
Blake
RWBY
took it for the previous volume, probably.
Well,
I'm not sure actually. Maybe Blake and Weiss.
In Volume 4, it actually wasn't. There was no main character. That's kind of the point.
Sure.
But in this one, we can now focus on the team dynamic. Do you think that they're going to divert the focus back to RWBY again, since we've been kind of waiting for that?
I think so. They kind of need to. Like,
I would like to see them focus on it in that order, like RWBY, Weiss, Blake, Yang. Like, Yang has maybe the stuff brewing in the background, but because Raven's not there anymore, her thing will be focused more on getting closer with her sister and the teammates, but then also kind of questioning things with Ozpin here.
Here's what I'd actually like to see. I would like to see them go back to the lighthearted stuff. We saw a bit of it this volume.
Yes.
And because Team RWBY is back together.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, not overdo it.
Not volume 1.
Not overdo it. Yeah, not volume 1.
Or volume 2. No dances. You can't just throw another dance in there just because.
Okay. But like a dance or a food fight or like something not to that scale, of course.
No, I think that they should go lighthearted. Yes, because what I would like to see is more of the thing of them bumbling around in high society Atlas and not knowing, like, wait, you're not supposed to display your weapons publicly? That's not cool. Like, you can hear RWBY being like, okay, it's Crescent Rose. They're like, leave it at the door, miss. It's like, I'm a huntress. Like, why would I do that?
Okay, sure. But specifically the reason... Oh, a snowball fight. Yes.
Snowball fight.
Yes.
You're a genius. Thank you. Simon Hill. We remember we will remember your name. Simon Hill. Write that down. Write that down. Because when it happens...
yes. But, okay, but here's the thing. Here's the reason why I want to see more of the lighthearted stuff where they are kind of goofing around. Is because it can basically be a point where they start getting back into the rhythm of how things used to be. That way there can be the reminder that, no, this actually is cruel and dark. The idea that even though we beat Salem, the war is not over. That was one battle, the first of many, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Ooh, what about shopping for winter clothes together? Yes! I'm like Sokka in this. Shopping!
Shopping would be fantastic.
And Weiss, like, whips out her credit card, and then she's like, oh, right. And then they have this moment where they all have to go and fight in a tournament together to make money so that they can buy shopping.
No, better.
I'm just kidding.
And this could actually happen, and this could be awesome. This would be something that that RWBY could do just to tease the fans, right? They go shopping, and Neo's there, and they don't recognize her because she's in disguise. She's illusioned herself, but she's also shopping for clothes. And they don't bring her back into the story, but it's just one of those things of like, oh, she's an Atlas. There you go.
All right. Photon Blaze, yeah, go for it. My Twitter DMs are totally open. Rob's like, yes, everything you just said was perfect. I'd want all of Team RWBY to meet Winter. Yeah, that'd be cool. Because Winter was the original rebellion... the original rebel from the Schnee family. And even then, she didn't leave Atlas truly. Right. She basically went to work somewhere that wasn't in the company, which was a big step. And she takes trips, all over the world and stuff, but she wants to be an effective person for the world. And I think seeing a personal side to Winter would be kind of fun, because Winter, we saw that sisterly side of her, but it would be fun to see Winter and Weiss working together to take down their father in a way.
Sure.
Yeah. Perhaps RWBY and the gang would need to attend an Atlas ball like the party Weiss attended in Volume 4. Okay. That's how they could incorporate a dance, but I don't want it to go goofy. I want it to be more serious.
Okay,
I want there to be intrigue involved in there.
Yes, absolutely. They can absolutely do that, and they can do both, because the thing is, it wouldn't make sense for them to be completely goofy about it. Yeah, I get it. Yes. But it is still a dance, and it is still something where they could,
Ren and Nora dancing.
Ren and Nora dancing is something that
needs to happen.
But it can also be a way to at least harken back to those good old days.
Right. I think it would be cool, though, to see RWBY be like, I can't do that. Like, I can't go back. Like, that's not something that...
I would see more Jean being like that.
Maybe both. Maybe they have another moment by the punch again.
That
would be a little bit fan servicey, but let's put that out there. I think that's a good theory.
They wouldn't have to have it be a moment by the punching bowl. What they could do is, in the same way that Blake didn't want to go to the dance before, Jean or RWBY, one of them isn't wanting to go this time, and then they have the other person basically, since it's like, okay, we both, like, we both lost somebody we really cared about.
Yeah.
You know, Pyrrha died and you watched her die, right? But we need to do this.
Yeah.
Like we need to move on. They would not want us to stay here and keep focusing on the past and stuff. We're going to beat Salem, and we're not just going to beat Salem and have nothing after that. Life will go on. You know.
Okay. Oh, cool. We got some more people bumping here again.
Oh. Guess talking about dancing works?
Yes, talking about dancing does work. I'm going to check Twitter to see if anyone's been, like, mentioning us or stuff like that. But what kind of stuff in general would you like to see along this lines for Volume 6?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So we've talked about Atlas and the whole Penny 2.0 thing and all that stuff. What I would really like to see, other than, of course, the Ty and Raven interactions, is I want to see just cool world building. Because with Haven and Mistral and all that, we didn't really see much world building. We got that bit of Crow walking around, but that was kind of like depressing world building, if that makes sense. And it still works, but I didn't get the feeling that Mistral was a kingdom, right? Uh-huh. Whereas with Atlas, they can totally do that because
yes, they totally
Atlas
could.
is probably in the best situation out of any of them, right? So they can show actual normal life that seems like normal life with lots of people and, you know, things happening. So that's probably what I would most like to see. Along the lines of what we're talking about.
Pastry eating. I just got the funniest picture. Lovely's girls. I got this picture of Whitley. You know how he's kind of like, he kind of looks like a Code Geass character. He's kind of thin and kind of lanky and stuff. I want to see a picture of him eating cake like the pompous little prick he is. And just being like, oh, so dainty. I don't want to ruin my figure.
And he
goes to the cake butler and he's being all rude. And this is like Weiss's cake butler that we've heard about, right?
He has like 3 bites and then he just pushes it away. You know?
And the cake butler takes his like, very good, sir.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, that little. I just want to see that. That would be funny.
It's actually Klein, and he like changes into like
he just changes costume and he changes eye color.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, of course, sir. You know, it's like happy or something like that, and then he goes away and he's grumpy. He's like,
yes. That would be great.
6 hours on this cake. It's perfect.
When you realize they just left Vernal's body decompose in the vault with Cinder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just realized going to Atlas, how is Sun going to run around since he's so open about being a Faunus?
Oh, I thought you were going to say so open about his abs. They might freeze.
Here's the thing. I don't think that Faunus are getting killed in the streets in Atlas. No. It's more of that they're getting maybe... they're getting mistreated in an economic scale. So it's kind of like... where you corral people into a specific environment so that you basically induce systemic poverty. Mm-hmm. That would be a really cool thing that they could get into the political side of things with Atlas.
Hisoka just brought this up. With shopping, they could do a throwback to Season 1 when RWBY was talking about going shopping and, you know, talking about boys and stuff and all that with Weiss.
Oh, that's right.
They could have that actually happen.
Oh, that would be sweet.
That would be awesome.
I would love to see them totally give us kind of a tease with that. And right before they're about to do that, have something plot-related happen. It takes away from it. And all the fandom, like, reason, like, total, just frustration because they want their White Rose stuff to just happen. So that they can screen cap it.
I just want to see Weiss and RWBY hang out.
But if they hang out alone, the White Rose shippers are going to go bananas. So, like, you know.
Yes, but, okay, even while I am up for shipping sometimes, just because 2 characters interact does not mean they want to bang.
A Cinder's body could have shattered when it hit the ground, though,
since
she was frozen.
She can also
no
fly.
maiden powers transferred visually, as far as we could see.
Yep, and she also has fire powers, so she could melt the ice and all kinds of stuff. Also, but this is a real question. Okay, Sun going around in Atlas. Are we actually going to not see his abs?
I would like to see Sun move away from the story, actually, at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to see Sun take a little bit of a back thing that he needs to reconnect with his team.
Yep, and that's the way they could do it. And
it
have
condenses
it really
the story a little bit. Sun has helped Blake along in this part of the journey, and now Blake's next stage of the journey with her character is with Yang and Team RWBY specifically.
And that could be a way that they're basically prepping us for, like, okay, this is going to be war. We need to gather all the other students from
right.
Beacon, because Haven's gone and most of the people from there were killed and stuff. We need to get everyone we can get.
Right. Oscar is such a cinnamon bun. I can totally imagine him bundled up in a puffy winter coat. Yep, exactly.
More's why.
Hopefully more's why. I miss him so much. Well, if we get Yang and Raven interactions, there's going to be that awkward moment where mom and dad are looking at each other and like sipping tea, and Zwei's like, and he's trying to get them to be happy. And for the briefest moment, they both smile at Zwei. And then they both go back to glare at each other, and Zwei's like, "Oh, like I tried to make them love each other.
I really did,
but my puppy eyes didn't work.
Nothing worked."
No.
I could also see, and I know that Zwei is not with them, but if he was, imagine Zwei in little doggy clothes in Atlas.
That's a cruel thing. I am not for the dogs being put in clothes kind of thing, especially.
Zwei probably designed them.
Zwei could probably launch himself into the air with his aura, and like jump around with the clothes on. Wouldn't restrict his movement at all. This volume has made me really love Sun's character, because now I was just kind of meh towards him. So I'd actually be kind of disappointed if he were to take a back seat. I see what you're saying, book lover.
But if he's doing something that is basically him going onto his own story and choosing to do something for himself, not just sticking around Blake, I at least for me, it would balance out the fact that he wouldn't be around.
Right, and also I think he was a necessary part of Blake's journey to bring her back to her team. But now that she has them, they're ultimately like people that she should be closer to than Sun. I know that there's the romantic tension in there, but I would like to have Sun show a little bit more of the mature side, to be like, "You're in good hands, Blake. You got this. I got a lot of my own stuff to do." It also might even make Blake miss Sun at some points, which is showing some cool development on not only Sun's part, but Blake's part.
That's a great point that they brought up. So they were like, Team Funky could come back because they're in Atlas now.
Yes, and we already predicted that, though. Like, yeah, well. But totally. Also, Atlas equals Team Funky equals partying. Yes, I want to see.
That's another way that they could have a dance.
I want to see, at the very least, the classy side of Atlas. The money kind of rich to do side of place,
and
but also side the kind of the way technology can be used in a classy but kind of artistically expressive way. Because that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, because especially with something like Atlas,
techno raves,
they've established it strongly enough of its style that they can do the differences, which is great. That's when you have an immersive world, because you can have more than just the stereotypes of people from Atlas are, uptight and organized and all that stuff.
Yes.
So,
for sure. Yeah. I feel like the only reason Sun is to help Blake is because he likes her. Possible. Not plausible. I think it's totally plausible that he likes her. I do feel bad for Weiss, though, since she spent all volume trying to escape, and now she's going to go back. Yeah.
No, but she's going to be going back, and
she's going to be going back armed and ready.
She's going to be,
She's no longer on the path of Weissolation.
Exactly.
I hope Oscar's developed more. I feel they've been lazy with handling him getting accustomed to changing his way of life and just doing everything this ancient ghost in his head is telling him. No. They had the conversation with RWBY and him being like, how do you handle this?
Right. Yeah.
He was lamenting that he has no choice. He was literally like, I can't handle this. And I need help. How do you handle this?
Right. And while that decision basically skips past like maybe some of the struggle that he would have had, even though they did show that a lot in Volume 4,
right.
It's a great way to do it because it's showing that he doesn't think he has a choice, and thereby it's setting up his development of realizing that he does have a choice. It'll provide opportunities to bring Oscar out a lot more, and Ozpin maybe goes a bit more to the background.
Sure. Do you guys think we will get hints in the next volume as to where about the other maidens are? I think that the Winter Maiden might get called. What I think is happening with the Winter and Summer Maidens is that one of them we might not know where they are yet. That would be cool that they have to go and find one. But because maybe it went to someone random. But the Winter Maiden, I would like that to be one where it's like Atlas has been keeping them. That's a very tightly guarded secret, and we only like bring them back from their training / missions that they do when they're needed.
Sure.
And that would be a very cool trump card.
Okay. All right.
It's a card game thing.
So
to bring in.
Here's a question. Well, or more of a thought. All right. So if Winter was the Winter Maiden, that would seem a bit like lame and obvious, right? But if you think about it
I don't think she is.
No, I don't think so either. But if you think about it from the perspective of the story, if she was the Winter Maiden, she was probably not born the Winter Maiden. She was probably made into the Winter Maiden, which is something I could totally see Ironwood doing. Mm-hmm. And also, it would explain why he sends her out as his executor emissary to basically fix things.
And she's in the Atlesian Special Forces.
Exactly. Now, it wouldn't make sense why he then sent her away from Beacon when they saw the trouble brewing.
I think that she was named Winter before she became
Winter
Maiden under that theory.
Right.
So I would say no.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did I get the Tournament Arc t-shirt? It's from Giga... if you don't know him, he's an anime YouTuber. Awesome.
He's a merch store.
Yeah, he has a merch store. That's where I got it from.
Betting Mama Schnee is the maiden. Oh, that would be depressing.
Oh, no, that would be so twisted because that would... Oh.
Hope to see more...
That would be so twisted. I kind of hope that's what it is.
What if CL is the Atlas Maiden and Penny was there as a bodyguard? Whoa. That's kind of hilariously genius.
What if Penny was the maiden and it transferred?
There's an unfinished clip of Sun in the next death battle on YouTube. Oh, cool.
All right, here's...
She also wants Jean. Remember, Tyrion is interested in Jean who RWBY. Possibly.
Yeah. Okay, now here's a thought. So, since there's 2 more maidens, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the potential problems that there is with this whole idea of the maidens, and it's one of the problems that I had back when I thought that what's her face, Miss Not Maiden, that's now Miss Rotting in the place.
Amber.
No,
Vernal.
Vernal. See? Yeah, you too.
No. I just didn't know which maiden you were talking about.
Anyways, one of the major potential issues with that is that you're giving a lot of plot gravity to people that we don't care about that haven't been introduced yet. Mm-hmm. So if they did end up deciding to do something like Weiss's mom being the Winter Maiden or something, that would be awesome because they're making it be someone that we already care about. We're already invested in.
No, we're not. We don't care about her yet.
Okay,
we know about her.
We know about her, and we want to know more about her, and she's connected to a previously existing character, so we'll care about her a lot more than some random other person.
But because they bring in a new character, they could literally make them as good as Crow, and instantly we care about them more than any other character in the show. When Crow stepped on the scene, that was one of the best character introductions RWBY has ever done.
Oh, yeah.
If they brought on a maiden that way, can you imagine what a sass-talking Olivier Armstrong type
that would
Winter Maiden would be like?
That would be fantastic. That would be amazing. Gosh. But they have 2 more maidens. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying it's something that's harder to do.
I still say no problem. I don't want maidens to be like, ooh, what a twist revealed again after we did no, it actually was the character that you already knew is the Spring Maiden in this volume. It's repetition. It's something that they totally can do, but I would rather have them go the ambitious route and slightly flub a little on the execution.
See you, Phil.
But yeah. See you, Phil. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Maybe we see Penny's guard we saw in season 3. Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. It's CL Soleil.
Right.
Imagine that Watts becomes Atlas' most trusted person and takes over. Unless they plan to take... Yeah, probably.
Since Papa Sneak can't get the powers, it's possible he wants his daughters to carry on the power. Maybe.
Ooh.
I mean, he doesn't have any more daughters.
Are you talking about the semblances? Like... the abilities, like the glyphs and stuff?
No. Like,
he's talking about Papa Schnee, Jacob.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably right because Papa Schnee doesn't know about the maiden. So, yeah, that's ooh, and that could be a really if they got into the Schnee.
I don't get the
Papa
question.
Schnee Whitley dynamic. Because Whitley was basically his second choice. Like he's his last option. So in that sense, he might be a bit like nicer to him or something. But it could also be something where
we all know Kali is the Winter Maiden. The tray was just a cover.
Yes.
Nani? she like comes up to the flying white fang guy, and she's all, "Omaya mushinderu." He's like, "Nani?" Trey. And then like we cut to the next scene, and she's like dragging his knocked out body, throws it out in front. Kali's a badass. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Volume 6 was really good.
Oh, Wildcat
Volume
Cinema,
6, woo,
yes.
amazing.
Also, I need to see that no matter what, there are still stakes, as in a death, loss, departure. Yes.
Right, because they did have the good guys win here, yeah.
But the consequences were felt on the antagonist side, which is still consequences.
Right.
You can have there be sacrifices made and only one side gets hurt, but it is more realistic, like you're saying, to have both sides feel the consequences.
Exactly. Well, and this is kind of the both sides since we got Volume 3.
Yes.
But now it's time for the bad guys to basically. You're right. Exactly. They need to hit back again because good guys need to feel like they are actually in danger and bad stuff will happen.
I think they should elaborate on the relics.
Yeah.
Yes, the relics.
They do still want to keep them mysterious, though.
The relics, I feel like, are the key to the overall endgame plot. But if they go too in-depth detail into them story-wise, you get a little bit limited with what kind of story you tell at the end.
Yes, that is true.
So they need to be a little bit careful with that. I don't envy Miles and Carrie's position with how to handle all the lore.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't think I would be necessarily the best person but this. But if they want a lore continuity expert, I am gladly throwing my hat in the ring to be a paid, like, pennies lore continuity consultant.
Are you saying that you want them to give you pennies?
Why did you do such a thing? No, but really, I would love to be a part of, like, a lore creative consultant representative group. No, because I am intentionally like studying the trivia and the stuff that they like, all the little things. Like I'm trying to get those all into my long-term memory. So yeah, totally. I personally never believed in the crow as Ruby's dad's theory either, but that's just me. Why add to the drama that's already there?
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we've got a lot of our theories in particular for Volume 6, mostly out of the out for display here.
It all boils down to we need more Neo.
No. And then we have lovely girls in there saying, "No more Neo."
Even I will admit that is not the most important thing.
What time is it over here? It's like 7:10 p.m.
Yeah.
We're U.S. Pacific time. Wait, you forgot about my DM? No, we saw it. I'll respond to it later. It's pretty cool. I did like it.
This current theme is just maidens. Yeah, Neo being a maiden.
Wow. Neo is a maiden. That would be something
the whole
we definitely knew was not the plan from the original setup there. Yeah. More like West Coast, Best Coast, Zippy Saboteur. Boo.
Yeah,
what up, Pacific Northwest? Yeah, Pacific Northwest up in here. It's amazing. We have the most beautifully diverse setting of environments for outdoor, what have you. I want to flashback at Team Stark 2. I want to flashback at Team Stark 2. Yep.
Didn't you question why the Spring Maiden had an ice sword? No, because we saw the Fall Maiden using fire, ice, and lightning.
Yeah, they all have control over all the elements. There is no Cinder is a firebender. Exactly. Raven is a waterbender kind of thing.
Right. I mean, Cinder had already been using like explosion, fiery type things before she became a maiden. But
East Coast, Beast Coast. Nice. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up here. The video will get uploaded to YouTube later tonight.
Yep.
But it takes a long time to render and everything like that. So let us know what you thought about the stream.
Yes.
What some of the questions you have. Just wanted to let you guys all know really quick, though, that we will be reacting to RWBY Chibi on a weekly basis in the same slot where RWBY was.
The fact that there's no gap makes it nice and easy.
Yep, makes it nice and easy. We also are doing a RWBY trivia contest.
That's true.
Yep, if you want details, reach out to us.
Yep.
The gist of it is that this contest is for like legit, actual like money prizes.
Speaking of which, there's also the art contest, the 2018 SOS Bros art contest. So we've gotten a lot of awesome contributions so far.
Yes, that is going to be covered in an announcements video that's coming later, probably in the next like 3 days or so. But specifically with the tournament for the trivia and stuff, this is open to everyone. It's going to have a little gauntlet bit from February 1st onward. So be on the lookout for that opening, and then either send me a message through Twitter, through Discord, through our YouTube channel email, whatever you want.
Yep.
And I can put you in on there and give you the details and stuff. But yeah. All right, guys. It was a lot of fun. Until next time, as we usually end these things.
Exactly.
We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.